Hi, I'm Emma. Before we start this crazy story, make sure to like and subscribe for more. You won't believe what I went through. In our cozy suburban home, my older sister Sophia was always the center of attention. Our parents adored her, and I felt like I was just the other daughter. One night, Sophia's jealousy went too far. I woke up to a cold breeze and a sharp sound. My heart raced as I felt my head and discovered my long hair was cut off and scattered on my pillow. Sophia stood there with scissors, smirking with satisfaction. "Sophia, what did you do?" I asked, tears forming in my eyes. "Oh, come on, Emma. It's just hair. It'll grow back," she said dismissively, twirling the scissors. I couldn't believe her cruelty. I rushed to our parents' room, desperate for help. "Mom, Dad, look what Sophia did to me," I cried, showing them my chopped hair. Our parents, groggy and annoyed, didn't seem to care. "Emma, it's the middle of the night. This is ridiculous," Dad grumbled. "Mom, you have to see what she did to me," I pleaded. Mom sighed and rubbed her temples. "Can this wait until morning?" "No, it can't," I protested, feeling overwhelmed. The argument heated up as Sophia walked in, pretending to be innocent. "I was just trying to help." She always complained about how long her hair was. "Help? You call this help?" I said, stunned. Our parents looked tired and exchanged worried glances. "Maybe she was just trying to," Mom started. "To what? Ruin me?" I interrupted, feeling the sting of injustice. The tension in the room was thick. "Sophia always gets away with everything, and you never believe me." My voice cracked with anger and sadness. "Emma, that's enough. We won't tolerate this ingratitude and disrespect," Dad said firmly. "Disrespect? I'm the victim here," I protested, feeling utterly betrayed by my own family. "Either apologize to Sophia or leave," Mom said coldly, her words hanging heavily in the air. "Apologize for being attacked in my sleep?" I felt overwhelmed by the unfairness of it all. I looked at my family, the people who were supposed to protect and understand me, but they felt like strangers. With tears streaming down my face, I packed a few things and left. The door slammed behind me, the sound echoing my broken heart. Alone and hurt, I stepped into the night, feeling the weight of their injustice. Little did I know, this was just the start. The road ahead was long, but I was determined to find justice. As I left my family home, I wandered through the dark streets with just a suitcase of belongings. Reaching Lena's apartment felt like finding a lighthouse in a storm. Lena opened the door, her eyes wide with surprise. "Emma, what happened?" she asked. "They kicked me out just like that," I said, tears welling up again. Lena let me in and offered me a safe place. As I told her about the night, her shock turned into anger. "Stay here as long as you need," she said firmly, but staying wasn't enough. I needed to be independent. So, I threw myself into work. My days started before sunrise and ended after sunset. I worked as a waitress during the day, a cashier in the evening, and walked dogs on weekends. It was exhausting, but with each paycheck, I felt more independent and determined. Mr. Jacobs, an elderly man with kind eyes, walked into the diner. He was known for leaving generous tips. One day, he asked me, "You're always so hardworking, Emma. Have you ever thought about a quieter job?" "A quieter job?" I asked. "Yes, my bookstore could use someone trustworthy to help run it," he said. The offer felt like a lifeline. Working at Jacob's Books wasn't just a job. It felt like coming home. Surrounded by the musty smell of old books, I found peace. Mr. Jacobs saw potential in me that I hadn't seen in myself. "You're meant for bigger things, Emma. Don't let this define you," he often said. His words stayed with me as I sat across from Miss Turner, a sharp legal advisor recommended by a bookstore regular. Her office was filled with books and legal files, showing her busy career. "This isn't just morally wrong, it's legally questionable," Miss Turner said, looking over my notes. "So there's something I can do?" I asked, my voice full of hope and uncertainty. "Yes," she replied, "but it will require work. You'll need evidence, documentation, any form of proof. It's your word against theirs," Miss Turner said, "but if we can prove a pattern of behavior, we might have a case." I left her office with more than just advice. I left with a mission. Back at my small rented apartment, I began documenting everything: text messages, emails, any evidence that could reveal how my family treated me. But evidence alone wasn't enough. I needed a plan to expose everything and make my family face the consequences of their actions. Nights were spent researching, and days were devoted to gathering information. I reached out to old friends, neighbors, anyone who could help build my case. I was meticulous, treating each piece of evidence like a brick in the fortress I was constructing. Document everything. Leave no stone unturned, Miss Turner advised during our weekly meetings, and that's exactly what I did. As the plan came together, I felt a change within me. I was no longer just a victim of my circumstances. I was becoming the architect of my own destiny. The girl who had been cast out was now ready to stand her ground and bring the truth to light, no matter the cost. Months of preparation led to this moment. My plan was precise, every detail carefully considered. The evidence against my family was a mix of solid proof and strategic tactics. I decided to start with Sophia. She had a knack for twisting things to her advantage, especially on social media. I watched as she posted about her perfect life, unaware of the storm I was brewing. It was time to reveal her true colors. Sophia loves the spotlight, I thought. Let's give it to her, I whispered to myself as I began my subtle campaign. I started posting old photos of us that seemed innocent, but the captions were carefully crafted to hint at a deeper story. One caption read, "Missing the sisterly love," which made people start to question and dig deeper. I reached out to mutual friends, sharing snippets of Sophia's behavior but carefully avoiding exaggeration. It wasn't long before whispers began to spread, and her perfect image began to crack. At the same time, I gathered legal evidence: old emails, voicemails, medical records, anything that showed years of neglect and favoritism. Miss Turner was invaluable, guiding me through the complex legal process. "The stronger your case, the harder they'll fall," she advised. With my evidence ready, I waited for the right moment, our extended family's annual reunion. It was the perfect setting, with the entire family present, an audience for the truth. As I walked in, the tension was palpable. Sophia greeted me with a fake smile, and my parents' hostility was barely concealed. Dinner was a blur of forced conversations and strained smiles. Then, as everyone settled into the living room, I stood up and cleared my throat. The room fell silent. "I have something to share," I began, my voice steady. I revealed everything: the haircutting incident, the years of favoritism, and the night they threw me out. Each word made the room more tense, filled with shock and disbelief. My parents and Sophia sat frozen, their faces a mix of anger and fear. "What is this nonsense?" Dad finally spluttered. "It's not nonsense, Dad. It's the truth," I retorted, holding up my evidence: photos, emails, and testimonies. The truth was laid bare for everyone to see. The room erupted into chaos, a mix of disbelief and anger. "How could you, Sophia?" one aunt exclaimed. "Emma, why didn't you say anything?" a cousin asked amid the turmoil. I called Miss Turner. "It's done. They know everything." "Good. I'll handle it from here," she replied. The wheels of justice were set in motion, and the chapter of that dramatic night closed. The facade of my perfect family was shattered, and legal proceedings began. For the first time, I felt a sense of closure. The road ahead was still long, but justice was finally within reach. The courtroom was a world apart from the chaos of the family reunion. Everything here was orderly, and the air was charged with anticipation. I sat composed but nervous as Miss Turner prepared our case. "Miss Turner, are we ready?" I whispered. "We've been ready, Emma. Today, justice will be served," she replied with a reassuring smile. The judge called the court to order, and the silence was deafening. Miss Turner began with calm confidence, laying out the facts of my case with precision. She presented the emails, photos, and testimonies, each piece of evidence driving home the truth of my family's deceit. My parents and Sophia sat with their lawyer, their faces a mix of anger and fear. Miss Turner recounted the incidents, including the night Sophia cut my hair and how I was thrown out like a criminal when I sought support. The judge listened intently, occasionally nodding as Miss Turner spoke. The courtroom was captivated by the unfolding story. When it was my family's turn, their lawyer tried to downplay the events, calling them simple family disputes. It's just sibling rivalry, he argued. Siblings rivalry? I blurted out, unable to keep quiet. They left me homeless. The judge warned me to control my outbursts, but I could see the sympathy in his eyes. As the proceedings continued, the truth became increasingly clear. In the end, the judgment was swift and fair. My parents and Sophia were found guilty of emotional abuse and wrongful eviction. The gavel's sound was like music to my ears. I was met with a crowd of supporters and media. My story had caught the public's attention, one of family betrayal and a fight for justice. Emma, how do you feel about the verdict? A reporter asked. Relieved, I replied. The weight of years has lifted off my shoulders. And hopeful. This isn't just my victory. It's for anyone who's faced family injustice. In the weeks that followed, I used my story to advocate for others in similar situations. I spoke at events, joined support groups, and worked with Miss Turner to assist those facing family legal issues. My life had taken an unexpected turn, but I embraced it. From the depths of despair, I had emerged stronger and more determined. I found peace not only in the justice served, but also in knowing that my story could inspire and help others. As for my family, they faced the consequences of their actions. Their once perfect image was shattered. I didn't take pleasure in their downfall, but I felt a sense of closure. Looking ahead, I knew the road wouldn't always be easy, but I was prepared for whatever came next. The toxic people in my life had received their comeuppance, and I, Emma, had found my triumph. And that's the end of Emma's journey. But here's a question for you. If you were in Emma's position, would you have chosen to legally confront your family or taken a different path to find closure and move on? It's a tough choice, filled with emotional and moral complexities. What would you do and why? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts, so please share your opinions in the comments. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring more content like this to you. Thanks for watching and engaging with our story.
The worst part about waking up from a coma isn't the pain or confusion. It's realizing that everything you thought was a nightmare is actually your new reality. I learned this the hard way 3 years ago, when I opened my eyes to find myself trapped in a body that felt like it belonged to someone else. My name is Natalie, and I was 26 when a drunk driver decided to play pinball with my Toyota Corolla on a rainy Tuesday evening. I remember fragments. The screech of tires, the metallic crunch of impact, and the strange, weightless feeling as my car rolled down the embankment. Then, nothing. "Welcome back, sweetheart," Mum's voice was the first thing I heard. She was perched beside my hospital bed, perfectly manicured as always, not a hair out of place. "We've been so worried." I tried to speak, but my throat felt like sandpaper. Dad appeared on my other side, pressing a cup of water to my lips. "Easy does it, kiddo. You've been out for almost 2 weeks." The next few days were a blur of doctors, tests, and devastating news. Multiple spinal fractures, severe nerve damage. The words partial paralysis and long-term rehabilitation floated around my room like unwelcome ghosts. But the good news, Dr. Harrison said, trying to sound optimistic, is that the driver's insurance is paying out a substantial settlement, $600,000 to cover your ongoing care and rehabilitation. Mum squeezed my hand. "We'll handle everything, sweetie. You just focus on getting better." I should have noticed the gleam in her eyes when she said that. My brother Quentin visited a week later, bringing his girlfriend Kayla and his usual larger-than-life presents. "Look who's finally awake," he boomed, making my head throb. "Man, sis, you really know how to get attention, don't you?" "Quentin," Dad warned, but there was no real authority in his voice. There never was when it came to my brother. "What? I'm just saying, it's kind of perfect timing. My new business venture is just taking off and—" "Not now." Mum cut him off, but they shared a look I couldn't quite read. My friend Lena, a lawyer I'd known since college, visited regularly. She helped me understand the settlement details, explaining everything in her calm, methodical way. "You need to be careful with this money, Nat," she said one afternoon when we were alone. It needs to last. Mum and Dad are handling it, I told her. They've set up some kind of trust. Lena's expression tightened. Let me add something to the paperwork, just in case. In case of what? She didn't answer directly, just squeezed my hand. Trust me on this one. I didn't understand her concern then. I was too focused on the basics, learning to sit up without passing out, fighting through the nerve pain that felt like lightning through my legs, trying to accept that my pre-med dreams were probably over. My physical therapist, Lucia, became my lifeline. She pushed me hard, but knew exactly when to ease up. Your body is healing, she'd say, but your spirit needs to heal too. One evening, about a month after I woke up, Dad came to visit wearing his work coat despite the warm weather. As he hugged me awkwardly around the monitors, something fell from his pocket. A bank letter. I managed to snag it when he wasn't looking. The letter mentioned a disbursement adjustment to an account in Nevada. That was strange. We lived in Michigan, and as far as I knew, we had no connections to Nevada. Everything okay? Dad asked, noticing my expression. I forced a smile. Just tired. Hey, when can we start looking at those specialized therapy programs Dr. Harrison mentioned? Oh, well. Dad suddenly became very interested in his phone. Your mother's handling all that. We need to be strategic with the funds, you know. Make sure everything's properly invested. That night, I lay awake in my hospital bed, the letter's words burning in my mind. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't quite piece it together yet. I thought about Lena's cryptic warning, about Mom's endless deflections regarding the settlement money, about Quinton's new business venture. My phone buzzed with a text from my brother. Great news. Just signed the lease on my new office space. Mom says you'll be so proud when you see what we've done with the investment. Investment. The word hit me like a second car crash. I stared at the ceiling, my hands clenching the scratchy hospital blanket. They wouldn't, I thought. They couldn't. But deep down, I already knew they had. Coming home felt like entering a funhouse mirror version of my old life. Everything looked almost right, but not quite. Mom had installed a basic metal ramp over the front steps, the cheapest model available according to the sticker still stuck to its underside. My bedroom had been moved to the first floor, into what used to be Dad's office. We did our best with the modifications, Mum said, wheeling me inside. The contractor wanted a fortune for those fancy grab bars and wider doorways, but we found some reasonable alternatives. Reasonable alternatives meant I could barely fit my wheelchair through the bathroom door, and reaching the sink was like solving a puzzle every morning. When can we start the full renovation? I asked during dinner that first night. Dr. Harrison said proper accessibility is crucial for... Oh, honey, Mum interrupted, exchanging glances with Dad. We need to be practical about expenses. There's not enough left for all that premium stuff. Not enough left? The words hit me like ice water. But the settlement is being carefully managed, Dad said quickly, for everyone's benefit. The next week, Quinton hosted a grand opening party for his new business venture, some kind of tech startup involving cryptocurrency and social media influencers. I couldn't follow his explanation, but I could certainly follow the money trail. The party was held at his new downtown office space, all gleaming glass and modern furniture. A champagne tower sparkled in the corner, and waiters circulated with expensive hors d'oeuvres. Pretty impressive, right? Kayla sidled up to my wheelchair, champagne flute in hand. Quinton says the family support made all this possible. Isn't it amazing how everyone's coming together? I forced a smile that felt like broken glass. Yeah, amazing! During my next physical therapy session, I couldn't focus. Lucia noticed immediately. Your mind's somewhere else today, she said, helping me with my exercises. Want to talk about it? The whole story spilled out. The settlement, the mysterious bank transfers, Quinton's sudden prosperity. Lucia's hand stilled on my leg. Natalie, You know you still have rights, right? That money was meant for your care. I know, I whispered. Oh, but what can I do? They're my family. Family doesn't mean they own you. She hesitated. And maybe you have more power than you think. That night, I called Lena for the first time since leaving the hospital. I was wondering when you'd contact me, she said. How much have they taken? I don't know exactly, but Quinton's new office alone must have cost. Send me everything you can find. Bank statements, transfer records, anything. And Natalie, remember that clause we added? It's still there, waiting. Before I could ask what she meant, Mum burst into my room without knocking. Quinton's got a surprise for everyone, she announced. Come to the driveway. There, gleaming under the streetlights, sat a brand new Porsche. Quinton was leaning against it, grinning like a game show host. Pretty sweet, right? He called out. The business is really taking off. This is just the beginning. I watched as Mum and Dad fawned over the car, their faces glowing with pride. Kayla snapped photos for social media. No one seemed to notice or care that I had to park my wheelchair at an awkward angle just to see past them. Later, as everyone headed inside for celebratory drinks, I heard Dad and Quinton talking near the garage. The insurance payment cleared? Quinton asked. Yeah, but we need to be more careful, Dad replied. Let's just hope she never finds out. Relax, she's not exactly in a position to do anything about it. I sat there in the darkness, my hands gripping my wheelchair's arms until my knuckles turned white. They thought I was helpless, weak, just a burden to be managed. That night, I sent Lena a text. Tell me about this clause. Her response came immediately. Come to my office tomorrow. It's time you learned about your insurance policy's fine print. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling I could barely see through the darkness. The same ceiling my parents couldn't afford to install proper grab bars under, somehow. The house creaked and settled around me, and somewhere upstairs I could hear Quinton's muffled laughter. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Lena. By the way, keep every receipt, every bank statement, every email you can find. Document everything. Trust me. For the first time since the accident, I felt something other than pain and helplessness, something sharp and cold and clarifying. They thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. Fine. Let them think that. Let them think I was just their token disabled daughter, grateful for their scraps of attention and care. They had no idea what was coming. I decided to give them one chance to come clean. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe I was wrong. I wheeled myself into the living room where Mom was arranging flowers, always keeping up appearances, and Dad was pretending to read the newspaper. We need to talk about the settlement money, I said quietly. The newspaper crinkled as Dad's hands tightened. Mom didn't turn around. What about it, sweetie? Her voice was honey-sweet, warning bells wrapped in sugar. Where is it? Mum finally turned, her smile perfect and practiced. It's being invested, dear, for the future of the family. My future, I corrected. It was meant for my care. And you're being cared for, aren't you? She gestured around the room. You have a roof over your head, food on the table, and a bathroom I can barely use. No proper therapy equipment. No. Those things are expensive, Dad cut in. We had to make practical decisions. Like buying Quinton a Porsche? The room went silent. Mum's smile flickered, but held. Your brother's business ventures will benefit everyone, she said. The money will grow, and then we can look at those fancy modifications you want. When? Don't use that tone with your mother, Dad warned. I pulled out my phone where I documented everything. The settlement was deposited 4 months ago. Since then, there have been transfers to Nevada, payments to luxury car dealers, and $100,000 to Q Tech Ventures. Want to explain that? Mum's smile vanished. Have you been snooping through our papers? They're my papers, my money. You ungrateful little... Mum caught herself. After everything we've done for you. Done for me? You stole from me. We did not steal, Dad said firmly. We invested in Quentin, like always. As if summoned, my brother appeared in the doorway, Kayla hovering behind him. What's all the shouting about? He asked, though his smirk suggested he knew exactly what was happening. Your sister is being dramatic about money, Mum said. Again? Quentin rolled his eyes. You should be grateful you at least have a roof over your head. Do you know how expensive it is to take care of you? Not as expensive as your car payments, I shot back. That car is a business investment, he sneered. Something you wouldn't understand sitting around all day. I sit around all day because I can't afford the therapy I need. Oh, here we go with the guilt trip. Quentin threw up his hands. You know what? You're lucky we didn't put you in a home. Most families wouldn't deal with this burden. Mom didn't even scold him for saying it. She just stood there, arranging her stupid flowers. I pulled out my phone again and started recording. So, just to be clear, you all think it's okay to use my settlement money meant for my medical care, to fund Quentin's business? We're not having this conversation, Dad said. Why not? Afraid of saying it out loud? The money is tied up in promising ventures, Mum insisted. Everything we've done is for this family's future. My future matters too. Your future is secure, Dad said. You have us. I laughed, and it wasn't a happy sound. Yeah, I have you. Taking my money, treating me like a burden, and expecting me to be grateful for it. Later that night, I heard them arguing upstairs. I wheeled closer to the stairs, recording on my phone. She's getting suspicious, Dad was saying. We need to fix this before she finds out everything. Fix what? Mum snapped. Why, we did what we had to do. Quentin needed the capital, and she wasn't using the money anyway. It was supposed to be for her care. She has care. Basic care is enough. Quentin has real potential. He just needs support to succeed. I sent the recording to Lena immediately. Her response came quickly. Perfect. Keep gathering evidence. The trap is almost ready. I glanced at Dad's tablet, left carelessly on the coffee table. He never was good with technology or passwords. 3 tries later, I was in his email. There it was. A transfer receipt from my trust fund to Quentin's personal account. $200,000 labelled as family investment. I forwarded it to Lena, then wheeled myself back to my room. Through the wall, I could hear Quentin and Kayla laughing about something in the kitchen, probably planning their next vacation with my money. Just wait, I whispered to myself. Keep laughing, keep spending, keep thinking you've won, because Lena was right. The trap was almost ready, and none of them saw it coming. You're pushing yourself too hard, Lucia said during our therapy session, but I could tell she was impressed. 3 sets yesterday? 4 today? I need them to think I'm getting weaker, I explained, powering through another rep. The more helpless they think I am, the less they'll suspect. Lucia checked that the door was closed before speaking. Lena called me, asked if I'd testify about your reduced therapy schedule and the impact it's having on your recovery. Will you? She squeezed my shoulder. Every damn word will be true. At home, I played my part perfectly. I dropped things more often, asked for help with basic tasks, acted increasingly dependent. Mom ate it up, cooing over me like I was a child. See? She told Dad one evening. She's doing fine with the basic care. We made the right choice. I recorded that too. Lena's office was my sanctuary. We met weekly, building our case piece by piece. The clause is beautiful in its simplicity, she explained, spreading papers across her desk. If fraudulent use of settlement funds is proven, The court can authorize seizure of any asset used as collateral in the trust agreement. And what asset was that? Her smile was razor sharp. Your parents' house. They signed it over as guarantee when they became trustees. Probably didn't even read the fine print. They never do, I said. They're too used to being in control. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Mum. Quinton's hosting an investor meeting at the house tonight. Please stay in your room. We need to make a good impression. I showed Lena the message. She started typing on her computer. Perfect timing, she said. Because guess what your brother's investors don't know? His company's being funded with stolen medical settlement money. One anonymous tip to the SEC and... Not yet, I said. We need one more piece. That night, I pretended to sleep through the investor meeting, but my phone was recording everything through the thin walls. The initial capital came from family support, Quinton was saying. We believe in investing in our own. Substantial investment, someone commented. Family must really believe in you. Oh, they do, Quinton laughed. Let's just say we had a windfall, and we knew exactly how to put it to good use. The next morning, Mum and Dad were huddled in the kitchen, talking in low voices. We need another 100,000, Dad was saying. The first round investors want to see more skin in the game. We can take out a second mortgage, Mum suggested. The house has plenty of equity. I wheeled myself to Lucia's office instead of our usual therapy room. They're going to take out another loan, I told her, using the house as collateral. The same house that's already collateral for your trust, she said, understanding immediately. Does Lena know? Texted her on the way here. She says it's perfect. The more debt they pile on, the harder they'll fall. I worked extra hard in therapy that day, but made sure to wince and struggle when Mum picked me up. Maybe we should scale back the sessions, she suggested, watching me fake grimace as I transferred to the car. They're clearly too much for you. Whatever you think is best, Mum. At home, I found Dad's tablet again. This time, there was an email thread about the new loan application. He'd even attached a photo of his driver's license for verification. I forwarded everything to Lena. Her response was immediate. Got it. All the pieces are in place. Ready when you are. I looked around the house. The house they'd signed away without reading the fine print. The house they were about to borrow against, not knowing it was already forfeit. My phone buzzed again. Mum. Quinton's investors loved the presentation. They're going to fund his next phase. All our sacrifices are finally paying off. I wheeled myself to the window, watching Mum and Dad help Quinton load presentation materials into his Porsche. They were laughing, celebrating another win for their golden boy. Hey, sis, Quinton called out, seeing me at the window. Thanks for staying quiet last night. Wouldn't want your wheelchair ramps ruining the aesthetic, right? I smiled and waved. Let them think I was the grateful, quiet daughter. Let them think I was weak. I opened my laptop and typed a single email to Lena. Do it. Her reply came seconds later. Papers will be filed in the morning. Are you sure you're ready? I looked at my reflection in the window. The daughter they thought they could steal from. The sister they thought they could silence. The woman they thought they had broken. I'm ready. The trap was set, and tomorrow it would snap shut. The bank liaison arrived at exactly 9:06 a.m., her heels clicking on our front walkway. I watched through the window as Mum opened the door, perfect hostess smile in place. Mrs. Boyd, I'm Amanda Torres from First National. I'm here about the property inspection. Mum's smile flickered. Property inspection? We haven't scheduled anything. It's a standard procedure before asset seizure, Amanda explained, consulting her tablet. As per the court filing this morning. Court filing? There must be some mistake. I wheeled myself into the foyer. No mistake, Mom. The colour drained from her face. Natalie, what did you do? I protected my future, since you wouldn't. Dad emerged from his study, drawn by the commotion. "What's going on?" "Sir," Amanda said, "I need to document the current state of the property. The court has authorised an inspection in preparation for potential seizure under Trust Violation Clause 247B. Trust violation?" Dad's voice went up an octave. "What trust violation?" "The one you triggered when you stole my settlement money," I said quietly. "Remember that paperwork you signed without reading? The house was collateral." Mum's perfect mask cracked. "You can't do this. We're your parents." "Parents don't steal from their disabled daughter." "We didn't steal," Mum shrieked. "We invested in Quentin's failed businesses, in his Porsche, in everything except my care." Amanda cleared her throat. "I need to begin the inspection. Please don't remove any fixtures or make any alterations to the property." As if on cue, Quentin burst through the front door. "What's this about a court filing? My investors are freaking out." "Your sister," Mum spat, "is trying to take our house." "Not trying," I corrected. "Taking, legally, just like you took my future." Quentin advanced on my wheelchair. "You ungrateful little—" "I wouldn't," a new voice said. My cousin Darnell stood in the doorway, his massive frame blocking the light. "Step away from her." "This is family business," Quentin snapped. Darnell's smile was cold. "Exactly why I'm here. Family." Mum turned to me, switching tactics. Her voice went soft, pleading. "Sweetheart, be reasonable. Think about what this will do to our reputation, to the family name. Should have thought about that before you emptied my trust fund." "We can fix this," Dad said desperately. "We'll take out a loan, replace the money." "With what collateral?" I asked. "The house you already signed away? Or maybe Quentin's Porsche?" Amanda continued her inspection, taking photos and measurements, seemingly oblivious to the family drama unfolding around her. "This will kill your mother," Dad tried again. "Like making me skip therapy sessions didn't kill me. Like watching Quentin blow my care money on crypto didn't kill me." "You're being dramatic," Quentin scoffed. I pulled out my phone. "Really? Let's hear what you all have to say about it." I pressed play. Mum's voice filled the room. She wasn't using the money anyway. Then Dad's, "We need to fix this before she finds out everything." And finally, Quentin's drunken boast to his investors. "Let's just say we had a windfall, and we knew exactly how to put it to good use." The room fell silent except for Amanda's clicking camera and tapping keyboard. "You recorded us," Mum whispered. "I learned from the best, Mum. Always keep evidence, right? Isn't that what you taught me?" "The inspection is complete," Amanda announced. "You'll receive formal documentation within 3 business days. Please remember, no alterations to the property." As she left, Darnell moved to stand behind my wheelchair. A silent guardian. "You have 30 days, I said quietly. "The court will give you 30 days to vacate." "You can't be serious," Quentin laughed, but there was fear in his eyes. "Where are we supposed to go? Maybe sell the Porsche? I hear those crypto investments aren't doing so well anyway." Mum collapsed onto the stairs, her perfect posture finally breaking. "Please, Natalie, be reasonable. We can talk about this. Like you talked to me about spending my settlement. Like you talked to me about cutting my therapy. Like you talked to me about anything." Dad just stood there looking old and deflated. "We thought we were doing the right thing." "No," I said, wheeling myself towards my room. "You thought I was too weak to fight back. That's a very different thing." "This isn't over," Quentin called after me. I stopped and turned. "Actually, it is. Check your investor emails. Turns out the SEC is very interested in medical settlement money being used for unauthorized business ventures." As I closed my door, I heard Mum start to cry. Not her usual manipulative tears, but real, broken sobs. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The court order arrived on a Tuesday morning. Mum refused to open it, so Dad did, his hand shaking as he broke the seal. 30 days, he confirmed, voice hollow. They're giving us 30 days to vacate. Quentin stormed in, waving his phone. My accounts are frozen. All of them. What did you do? Me? I raised an eyebrow. I didn't do anything. But it turns out using fraudulently obtained medical settlement money for business ventures is illegal. Who knew? You've ruined everything, he shouted. My investors are pulling out. Kayla's talking about taking a break. The SEC is what? I interrupted. Investigating where your startup capital came from? Funny how that works. Mom appeared in the doorway, looking like she'd aged 10 years overnight. I just got off the phone with the country club. They've suspended our membership pending the legal situation. Not the country club, I gasped mockingly. However will we survive? You're killing your mother's spirit, she whispered. No, Mom, you killed mine first, multiple times. Every time you chose Quentin over my health. A loud banging from upstairs made us all jump. Darnell, who'd appointed himself my unofficial bodyguard, appeared at the top of the stairs. Your brother's girlfriend is clearing out her stuff, he reported, and taking some family jewellery with her. What? Mum ran upstairs, her social disgrace temporarily forgotten. Quentin's face went pale. She wouldn't... Oh, but she did, Darnell smiled. I watched her pack up your grandmother's pearls and that vintage Rolex. Said something about compensation for wasted time. Those weren't hers to take. Mum's voice shrieked from above. Like my settlement, it wasn't yours to take, I called back. Dad sank into a chair, looking defeated. Natalie, please, we can work something out. The house has been in the family for generations. Should have thought about that before you signed it away. Did you even read the trust agreement? His silence was answer enough. Quentin paced the room like a caged animal. This is just spite, pure spite. No, I corrected him. This is consequences. Remember when you said I should be grateful you didn't put me in a home, that I was lucky to have a roof over my head? Well, now it's my roof. The doorbell rang. Darnell answered it to find Lena standing there with a contractor. Hope you don't mind, she said brightly, walking in. We're just here to measure for the renovations. Full accessibility upgrade, proper wheelchair ramps, modified bathroom fixtures. You can't do this, Mum said, coming back downstairs. We haven't even moved out yet. Just planning ahead, Lena replied. 30 days goes by quickly. The contractor moved through the house, taking measurements and making notes. He passed Quentin's room just as Kayla emerged, dragging a heavy suitcase. Keep the Rolex, she spat at him. Sell it! You'll need the money more than me. Mum followed her, pleading. Kayla, dear, those are family heirlooms. Family? Kayla laughed bitterly. You mean the family that stole from their own daughter? The family that's about to be homeless? No thanks. I'm out. She stormed past us all, the front door slamming behind her. Dad finally spoke up, his voice broken. I'm sorry, Natalie. I should have stopped this. Should have protected you. But you didn't, I said quietly. You never did. What do you want? Mom asked. Money? We'll find a way to pay you back. I want what was already mine. My settlement, my independence, my future. And our future? Quentin demanded. Where are we supposed to go? Maybe try one of those budget apartments you said would be good enough for me. The ones you suggested when you wanted to sell this house for your business? The contractor finished his measurements and approached me. We can start work in about 5 weeks. Full accessibility throughout. Therapy room in the converted bedroom, everything up to medical code. Perfect, I said. That's exactly what the settlement was meant for in the first place. Mum started crying again, but I'd grown immune to her tears. They were just water now, not guilt. Lena touched my shoulder. Need anything else today? I looked around at my family. Mum's mascara-streaked face, Dad's defeated slump, Quinton's impotent rage, the people who thought they could steal my future because I couldn't walk. No, I said. I think everything's exactly where it should be. The contractor's pencil scratched against his notepad, measuring out my new future in inches and feet. Every mark was a victory, every number a step toward independence. They had taken everything from me. Now I was taking it back. Moving day arrived with a grey sky and scattered rain. I watched from the front window as Dad loaded boxes into their rented U-Haul. Mum hadn't emerged from the house yet, still making a show of her devastation. Need help with that? Darnell called out to Dad, who was struggling with a heavy box. We don't need your charity, Mum snapped, finally appearing with her designer handbag clutched like a shield. Wasn't offering any, Darnell replied smoothly. Just thought you might want to avoid dropping your precious china. Quinton appeared last, carrying only a small duffel bag. His Porsche was already gone, sold to cover legal fees and investor paybacks. Happy now? He asked, glaring at me. Got your revenge? This isn't revenge, I said. This is justice. Keep telling yourself that. He kicked a box viciously. You've destroyed this family. No, you all did that when you stole from me. Mom approached my wheelchair, making one last attempt. Sweetheart, there's still time to reconsider. Think about what you're doing. Think about motherly love. Motherly love? I cut her off. Was it motherly love when you cancelled my therapy sessions to pay for Quinton's office furniture? Was it motherly love when you watched me struggle in a bathroom I could barely use while spending my settlement on his failed ventures? We were trying to secure everyone's future. No, you were betting my future on Quinton's dreams. How'd that work out? Dad paused in his loading. Natalie, please. Your mother's heart. Don't, I warned. Don't you dare make me the villain here. You had choices. You made them. These are the consequences. Lucia arrived then, carrying supplies for our afternoon therapy session. She'd be using the newly converted bedroom, my old bedroom, as a proper therapy space. Perfect timing, I said. You can help me check out the renovations. This is still our home, Mum protested weakly. Not anymore, Lena said, appearing with the final paperwork. As of noon today, the property transfers fully to Natalie. You need to be out by 2 p.m. Mum collapsed onto a chair, one of the few pieces of furniture remaining. Where did we go wrong? You want the list chronologically or alphabetically? I asked. You harbour such hate in your heart, she whispered. No, Mom, this isn't hate. This is balance. This is what happens when you treat your daughter like an ATM and expect her to thank you for it. Quinton stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the windows. Through the glass, I watched him walk away. No car to drive off in, no girlfriend to run to, no investors to bail him out. Dad finished loading the last box. The apartment's not much, but we'll manage. Like I had to manage? I asked, with inadequate care and empty promises. He looked at me for a long moment. I failed you. I see that now. Yes, you did. I'm sorry. I know, but sorry doesn't pay for the therapy I missed or the independence you stole. Mom finally stood, straightening her designer clothes, probably the last ones she'd be able to afford for a while. This house has been in our family for generations. And now it's in my part of the family, I said. The part you forgot about while chasing Quinton's dreams. They left quietly after that, the U-Haul coughing to life in the driveway. I watched them pull away, Mom not looking back, Dad checking the rearview mirror one last time. Lucia wheeled me through the house, now fitted with proper ramps, wider doorways, and all the modifications that should have been done months ago. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Like justice?" Darnell started bringing in my new medical equipment, a proper therapy table, exercise machines, everything the settlement should have bought in the first place. The mail arrived as we were setting up. Among the envelopes was a letter from a funeral home. I opened it with trembling fingers. "Your Aunt Margaret passed last week," Lena explained, having known about it already. "She left you something." Inside was a notice of inheritance, a second chance at security, but there was a condition: full severance of ties with Mom. "She knew," I whispered. "Aunt Margaret knew what they were doing." "What are you going to do?" Lucia asked. I looked around my house, truly mine now, set up for my needs, not their greed. The therapy room waited, properly equipped. The accessible bathroom gleamed. Everything was as it should have been from the start. I lit a candle in the window, watching the flame flicker. The inheritance letter waited for my answer, but I wasn't ready to give it. Not yet. Some choices, I'd learned, deserved time to breathe. The autumn wind rustled through my newly installed automatic doors as I wheeled into my home office. My laptop displayed a fresh email from Lena. Another update about Quinton's legal troubles. The SEC investigation had expanded, and his investors were filing their own lawsuits. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. "Your brother might have to declare bankruptcy. Please, we need help." I set the phone down without replying. The last 3 messages had been similar. Pleas for money, attempts at guilt, desperate bargaining. The doorbell rang. Darnell answered it, then called out, "It's Lucia, and someone else." I wheeled into the living room to find Lucia standing with a young woman in a wheelchair. "This is Sarah," Lucia said. "Remember how we talked about using part of the house as a therapy centre for others?" Sarah smiled nervously. "I heard what you did. Standing up to your family like that. It gave me courage to fight my own insurance battle." Before I could respond, another text came through, this time from Dad. "Saw your interview in the Disability Rights newsletter. Proud of you. I know that doesn't make up for anything." He was right. It didn't. "Come on," I told Sarah, leading her to the therapy room. "Let me show you what proper accessibility looks like." As Lucia started their session, I wheeled to my office to finish some work. I'd found a remote position in patient advocacy, helping others navigate the medical system I'd learned to fight. The mail arrived, another letter from the funeral home about Aunt Margaret's inheritance. The deadline for accepting the conditions was approaching. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Through the security camera, I saw Kayla standing there, shifting nervously. "What do you want?" I asked through the intercom. "To apologise," she said, "and to return something." I let her in. She placed Grandma's pearls on my desk. "I was angry," she explained, "at Quinton, at your parents, at everyone, but taking these was wrong." "Why return them now?" "Because I saw your interview too, about fighting for what's rightfully yours. Made me realise I was just being spiteful. Unlike them, you chose to make it right." She nodded. "Quinton's working at an insurance company now. Entry level. Your mum's selling her designer clothes online. Your dad..." She hesitated. "He's actually going to therapy. Says he needs to understand why he failed you." I hadn't known that last part. After she left, I called Lena. "I've made a decision about Aunt Margaret's inheritance," I told her. "And I'm accepting it. But I want to use part of it to start a foundation. For others like me, people fighting for their right to proper care. Your mother won't like being cut off officially. My mother stopped having a say in my life when she chose Quinton's dreams over my needs." That evening, as Sarah finished her therapy session, she paused by my desk. "Thank you," she said, "not just for sharing your space, but for showing me that fighting back isn't wrong." I thought about Mum's texts, Dad's therapy sessions, Quinton's new humble life, and Kayla's returned pearls. Fighting back isn't wrong, I agreed, but neither is moving forward. I picked up my phone and typed a response to Dad. Proud isn't enough, but change might be a start. Then I wheeled myself to the front window, the same window where I'd once watched helplessly as they spent my future. Now I watched Sarah navigate her wheelchair down my properly graded ramp, heading toward her own future, stronger for having seen mine. Lucia appeared beside me. Ready for your session? Actually, I said, I think I'm ready for everything. I signed the inheritance acceptance papers that evening, adding my foundation plans as a codicil. Aunt Margaret would have appreciated that, using money to help others fight back, to claim their rights, to demand better. The house creaked softly around me, but it wasn't the sound of secrets anymore. It was the sound of justice, of consequences, of strength. My phone lit up one last time, a text from an unknown number. Saw your interview. I'm fighting my parents too. They think my disability means they can control my settlement. Can you help? I smiled and typed back, yes, and I know exactly where to start. Because that's what justice looks like. Not just winning your own fight, but helping others win theirs. I never wanted revenge. I wanted what they stole from me. Control over my own future. Turns out, getting the house back was just the beginning.
The call came at 2:17 a.m. I remember staring at my phone's display, watching my mother's name flash across the screen, my stomach already nodding. Nothing good ever came from middle-of-the-night calls. My name is Vivian, and that call changed everything. He's hurt, Mom's voice cracked through the speaker. Jackson's hurt bad. The car... Oh God, Vivian. The car is totaled. I was already pulling on jeans, wedging the phone between my ear and shoulder. Which hospital? Mercy General. Please hurry, and bring your insurance information. The car? It was in your name, wasn't it? Of course, that's what she focused on. The SUV I'd bought them last Christmas. A family gift, they'd called it, though Jackson had been the one pushing hardest for it. I'd spent months saving up for the down payment, wanting to do something nice for once. I'm on my way, I said, hanging up before she could spiral into more questions about paperwork. The hospital parking lot was a maze of fluorescent lights and empty spaces. My heels clicked against the concrete as I power walked to the emergency entrance, where I found my mother pacing in circles, her mascara creating dark rivers down her cheeks. Where is he? I asked. She grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in. Treatment room 3. Your father's with him. But Vivian... Her voice dropped to a whisper. There was someone else. The other driver. It's bad. My blood ran cold. How bad? They won't tell us anything. But there was so much blood. She dabbed at her eyes with a crumpled tissue. The police are here too. They want to talk to Jackson when he's stable. I pushed through the double doors, my mother trailing behind me. Dad stood outside treatment room 3, his face ashen, holding a styrofoam coffee cup that trembled in his grip. He's awake, Dad said gruffly. Couple broken ribs, concussion. Could have been worse. Through the window, I could see Jackson on the bed, his face scratched up but recognizable. He was arguing with a nurse about something, his hands gesturing wildly. Typical Jackson. Even flat on his back, he was trying to control the room. A police officer approached us, notebook in hand. Family of Jackson Barnes? Yes, my mother jumped in. I'm his mother. Is this about the other driver? Mr. Garcia is in critical condition, the officer said flatly, and we have reason to believe alcohol was involved in the collision. My father's coffee cup crumpled in his fist. That's ridiculous. My son wouldn't... His preliminary blood alcohol level was 0.14, the officer cut in. More than twice the legal limit. We'll need to discuss the charges once he's medically cleared. Charges? The word hung in the air like smoke. My mother started crying again, and my father's face went from ashen to red. "Vivian," my mother grabbed my arm again. "You'll help, won't you? The car's in your name. Your insurance will cover this. And we'll need a good lawyer." I stared at her, reality crashing down like waves. "Mom, if he was drunk—" "He's your brother," she hissed. "Family protects family. You have that good job, that fancy title. You can afford this." Before I could respond, a doctor emerged from another treatment room, his scrubs spattered with blood. "Family of Emmett Garcia?" An elderly couple rushed forward, the other driver's parents, I assumed. The doctor's voice was low, but words filtered through. "Severe internal bleeding, spinal concerns, medically induced coma." My mother's grip tightened. "Don't you dare say a word to anyone about the car being yours. We'll handle this as a family." I looked through the window at Jackson again. He was now scrolling through his phone, looking annoyed at the IV in his arm. No remorse. No concern for the man he might have killed. The officer approached again. "Ms. Barnes, we'll need to discuss the vehicle registration and insurance details." My mother stepped between us. "My daughter bought us that car as a gift. But she wasn't there. She doesn't know anything." She turned to me, eyes hard despite the tears. "Right, Vivienne?" I opened my mouth, but my father appeared at my other side. "This is your mess to clean up," he said quietly. "You bought the car. You're responsible." Standing there, trapped between them, watching Jackson scroll through social media, while somewhere in this same hospital, a stranger fought for his life because of him. Something inside me snapped. I looked at my mother, then my father, seeing them clearly for the first time. "You're right," I said slowly. "I am responsible, and I know exactly what I need to do." I spent the next morning in a daze, mechanically answering emails from my kitchen table, while my phone buzzed with endless family messages. Around noon, my doorbell rang. It was Allison, my best friend since college, carrying 2 cups of coffee and wearing her "I'm worried about you" face. "Your mom called me," she said, setting the coffee down. 3 times. I rubbed my temples. "Let me guess. She wanted you to talk some sense into me about the insurance?" "Actually, she wanted me to remind you about all the times Jackson was there for you." Her words. Allison's voice dripped with sarcasm. I told her I had to go into a tunnel. "He was there for me?" I laughed bitterly, opening my laptop. "Let me show you something." I pulled up my banking history. Last year alone, $6,000 for his emergency car repairs. $4,000 when he got fired from that startup. $2,000 for that coding boot camp he quit after 2 weeks. "Don't forget your parents' mortgage payment," Allison added quietly. "Right. Because Dad's contracting work hit a slow patch. Again." I slammed the laptop shut. "You know what the worst part is? Jackson didn't even have permission to drive that car." Allison's eyebrows shot up. "What?" "The SUV was technically a family gift, but the agreement was clear. Jackson wasn't supposed to drive it. Not after his DUI last year. The one they kept quiet about? The one they made me pay the lawyer for?" I took a sip of coffee. "But apparently he's been joyriding in it for months. Look at this." I opened Instagram, scrolling to a post from 3 weeks ago. Jackson posed in front of my SUV, keys dangling from his fingers. The caption read, "Borrowed the family ride. Time to show this baby what she can do." My phone buzzed again. Dad. "Hello?" "Your mother's a wreck," he said without preamble. "She hasn't stopped crying since you left the hospital." "Is she crying about Emmett Garcia?" I asked. "The man Jackson nearly killed?" "Don't be dramatic. These things happen. What matters is how we handle it as a family." "You mean how I handle it with my checkbook?" "Don't get smart with me," he snapped. "We don't betray family. Remember when you were 17 and wrapped my truck around that tree? Who covered for you then?" "That never happened," I said slowly. That was Jackson. He blamed it on me, and you all believed him without even asking. Silence on the line. Dad? Well, what's done is done, he muttered. The point is, family stands together. Jackson made a mistake. A mistake? My voice rose. He drove drunk and put someone in a coma. Lower your voice, he hissed. The neighbors will hear. God forbid the neighbors hear the truth, I said, and hung up. Allison watched me carefully. You okay? No. I opened my email. But I'm done being their ATM. A new message popped up from Jackson's girlfriend, Joanna. Subject line: Need to talk. I didn't know, her message read. About the car, about any of it. Jackson told me it was his. I have pictures, timestamps, everything, if you need them. Allison read over my shoulder. Well, well, looks like little brother's house of cards is starting to fall. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time, but through text. How dare you hang up on your father? After everything we've done for you. Remember who paid for your prom dress? Your first car? Your braces? I started typing, you mean the prom dress you returned to buy Jackson's gaming console? The car you sold to pay his gambling debts? The braces I'm still paying off because you borrowed my dental fund for his spring break trip? But I didn't send it. Instead, I opened a new document and started making a list. What are you doing? Allison asked. Documenting everything. The car title's in my name. The insurance is in my name. Jackson took the car without permission, with a history of DUI, and my parents enabled it. I looked up at her. You're the lawyer. What does that mean legally? A slow smile spread across Allison's face. It means, my friend, that you're not their safety net anymore. You're their worst nightmare. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Jackson. Hey sis, when you get a sec, can you call the insurance company? Mom's freaking out about the paperwork. Also, gonna need some cash for a new phone. Mine got smashed in the crash. Love you. I showed it to Allison, who read it and shook her head. He really doesn't get it, does he? No, I said, saving the text as evidence. But he's about to. Allison's law office smelled like leather and coffee. She spread documents across her desk while I watched, each paper another nail in my family's coffin. Vehicle registration, insurance policy, text messages showing unauthorized use. She ticked off each item. And now Joanna's evidence. Vivian, you're not just protected, you have a nuclear option. My phone lit up. Mom again. Sweetheart, please. The hospital bills just came in. They're asking about insurance. We need you. I switched it to silent and turned back to Allison. What about Emmett? Any updates? She pulled up a news article. Still in a coma, but there's something else you should see. The article included a photo of Emmett, not from the crash, but from before. He sat at a piano, surrounded by young students, his face bright with enthusiasm. The caption read, Local music teacher's future uncertain after devastating crash. He taught piano to underprivileged kids, Allison said softly. Pro bono work, mostly. The doctors. They're saying even if he recovers, he might never play again. The nerve damage. My stomach lurched. I remembered Jackson's text about his broken phone, how casually he'd asked for money. Like breaking a man's life was just another oopsie for Big Sister to fix. A knock at the door interrupted us. Allison's assistant poked her head in. Sorry to interrupt, but there's a Mrs. Barnes insisting on coming up. I stood. My mother's here? In the lobby. Should I? No, I said. I'll go down. Mom paced the lobby, clutching her designer purse, the one I'd bought her last birthday. When she saw me, her face crumpled into practiced tears. Why aren't you answering your phone? I've been trying to reach you all day. I'm busy, Mom. Too busy for family? She stepped closer, lowering her voice. The police are talking about criminal charges. Criminal? My baby boy could go to prison. Your baby boy nearly killed someone. It was an accident. Driving drunk isn't an accident. It's a choice. She grabbed my arm. How can you be so cold? This is your brother we're talking about. And what about Emmett? I pulled up the article on my phone, thrust it in her face. What about his students? His family? She barely glanced at it. We'll make it right. That's why we need your help with the insurance. No. The word hung between us. Mom's face went still. What did you say? I said no. I'm not covering this up. I'm not paying for it. I'm done. Done? Her voice rose. Done with what? Your family? The people who raised you? The people who raised me to be their personal bank account? How dare you? She was crying again, but these tears were angry. After everything we've sacrificed, what exactly did you sacrifice, Mom? Name one thing you gave up for me that didn't eventually go to Jackson. You're being ridiculous. You're just jealous because what? Because Jackson's the favorite? Because he gets unlimited chances while I get unlimited bills? You're evil, she whispered. Evil and ungrateful. Your own brother could go to jail, and you're worried about money? No, I said quietly. I'm worried about justice. Her hand flew up. To slap me or grab me. I'm not sure. I caught her wrist before she could do either. Don't, I said. She yanked her hand away, face twisting. You'll regret this. When Jackson's in prison, when our family is destroyed, you'll regret choosing strangers over blood. Blood, I laughed. Blood doesn't excuse what he did. What you're all trying to do. Fine. She straightened, wiping her eyes. Fine. But don't come crying to us when you're all alone. Don't expect forgiveness when you realize what you've thrown away. I watched her storm out, designer purse swinging. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady when I called up to Allison's office. Still there? Heard the whole thing, she said. You okay? No. I took a deep breath. But I will be. Listen, I need you to do something for me. Name it. Contact Emmett's lawyer. Tell them. I closed my eyes, saw his smiling face in that photo, surrounded by students who might never hear him play again. Tell them I want to help. Not with money, with evidence. You sure about this? Once we start, I'm sure. I opened my eyes, watched my mother's figure disappear into a taxi. It's time they learned what real consequences feel like. 3 days after my confrontation with Mom, Dad showed up at my office. My assistant tried to stop him, but he bulldozed past her, face flushed with what I assumed was a combination of anger and his usual afternoon drinks. We need to talk, he announced, closing my office door. I didn't look up from my computer. I'm working. Your brother's facing 10 years. He slumped into the chair across from my desk. 10 years, Vivian. Does that mean nothing to you? Now I looked up. It means he did something worth 10 years in prison. For God's sake, he's 27. His whole life will be ruined. What about Emmett's life? I turned my monitor around, showing him the latest update from the hospital. Permanent nerve damage in both hands. Career destroyed. But I guess that doesn't matter to you. Dad's face darkened. You've always been like this. Cold. Calculating. Even as a kid, I was cleaning up Jackson's messes. I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a photo. Remember this? The image showed Dad's prized motorcycle, crumpled against our old garage door. Jackson was 16. That's ancient history, Dad muttered. You made me give up my college fund to fix it. Said it was my fault for distracting him while he was showing off. I had to take out extra student loans because of that. Loans I just finished paying off last year. We were protecting him. No, you were enabling him. And now a man might never play piano again because of it. Dad leaned forward, his voice dropping to a harsh whisper. You think you're so perfect? You think you never needed protecting? What about that time in high school when you— When I what? I interrupted. Got drunk and totaled your truck? Oh, wait. That was Jackson, too. He just blamed me. And you believed him without question. You're twisting things. Am I? I pulled up Jackson's Instagram. Look at this. Posted the night of the crash. The video showed Jackson, clearly drunk, jangling my car keys. Borrowed Sis's sweet ride. Time to show these losers how to party. Dad's face went pale. Delete that. Can't. It's evidence now. Evidence? His voice rose. You're collecting evidence against your own brother? No, I'm collecting truth. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. A text from Jackson. Hey sis, saw Dad heading to your office. Don't listen to his guilt trip BS. I know you'll handle this like always. You're the best. I showed Dad the text. See? He's not even worried. He thinks I'll handle this like always. Fix it. Pay for it. Cover it up. Because that's what family does. No, I said quietly. That's what enablers do. Dad stood up so fast his chair toppled backward. You coward. You ungrateful little... Security will escort you out if necessary. He stared at me, and for a moment I saw something crack in his expression. Fear, maybe? Or the first real understanding that he couldn't control this situation. You'll regret this, he said, but his voice shook. When he's in prison, when our family is destroyed, save it. Mom already gave me that speech. After he left, I sat there shaking until my phone buzzed again. A message from Joanna. Jackson's telling everyone you promised to fix everything, but I found something else. He took videos that night, bragging about taking the car. I saved them before he deleted them. Want them? I typed back. Yes. And Joanna? Thank you. Another buzz. Jackson again. Yo sis, the lawyer you're paying for kinda sucks. Can we get a better one? Money's no object since you're covering it, right? I stared at his message, remembering all the times he'd sent similar texts. Money for rent. Money for bills. Money for mistakes. Always with that same entitled confidence that I'd handle it. My phone rang. Allison. The prosecutor wants to meet, she said without preamble. They're interested in your evidence about the pattern of behavior. And Vivian? Emmett's awake. My heart stopped. How is he? Can't feel his fingers. Doctor says he might regain some function with therapy, but... She paused. He asked about you. Asked why you're helping his case. What did you tell him? The truth. That you're choosing right over easy. Speaking of which, Jackson just posted another story. You should see this. I opened Instagram. There was my brother, looking annoyed but unworried, captioned, Haters trying to bring me down, but family's got my back. Ride or die, right sis? I took a screenshot, added it to my evidence folder, and typed back 3 words that would change everything. Not this time. The coffee shop was nearly empty when Joanna slid into the booth across from me. She looked tired, her usually perfect makeup smudged at the corners. I brought everything, she said, pulling out her phone. But Jackson doesn't know I'm here. If he finds out... He won't, I assured her. Not from me. She nodded, then started scrolling through her gallery. These are from the night of the crash. He was at Murphy's bar first. The videos played one after another. Jackson, progressively drunker, bragging about borrowing my car. Jackson, keys in hand, laughing about how he'd liberated the SUV from our parents' garage. Jackson slurring his words. Big sis won't mind. She never does. There's more, Joanna said quietly. From other nights. He did this a lot. How long? I asked. How long has he been taking the car? Months. Since January, at least. Your parents knew. They'd laugh about it, say you'd never notice because you were too busy with work. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. Did they know he was driving drunk? Joanna's eyes filled with tears. Everyone knew. It was like a joke to them. Jackson's joyrides, they called it. I tried to stop him once, but he just laughed and said his sister would fix any problems, and now someone might never play piano again. I know. She wiped her eyes. That's why I'm here. I love Jackson. Part of me still does. But this is wrong. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Your father's drinking again. This is your fault. If you'd just helped your brother... I switched my phone to silent and turned back to Joanna. What else do you have? She pulled up more photos, more videos. Jackson bragging about near misses with other cars. Jackson racing down residential streets. Jackson and my parents laughing about borrowing the SUV while I was at work. The timestamp on this one, I pointed. It's from the afternoon before the crash. Joanna nodded. He was already drinking then. Your mom even offered to make him coffee to sober up before he drove home. But he went back out later. To prove he could. Someone at the bar said he shouldn't drive, and you know how he gets when people tell him no. I did know. I'd been cleaning up after those moments my entire life. My phone lit up again. Jackson this time. Hey sis, heard you met with the prosecutor? What's up with that? Mom's freaking out. Call me. Joanna saw the message. He still doesn't get it, does he? No, I said. He doesn't. She hesitated, then pulled up one last video. This is from right before the crash. I didn't want to watch it again, but you should see it. The video played. Jackson, barely able to stand, waving my car keys. Gonna show these losers how to really drive, he slurred. Don't worry. If anything happens, my sister's loaded. She'll fix it like always. In the background, I could hear my mother laughing. My father's voice. That's my boy. 10 minutes later, Emmett Garcia's life changed forever. I'm so sorry, Joanna whispered. I should have stopped him. Should have called someone. You're stopping him now, I said. That counts for something. My phone buzzed again. Allison. Prosecutor wants to meet tomorrow. Bring everything you have. I looked at Joanna. The prosecutor will want to talk to you. She straightened her shoulders. I know. I'm ready. Jackson won't forgive you. Maybe not. But I won't forgive myself if I stay quiet. As if on cue, both our phones lit up. Jackson had posted a new Instagram story. Family means loyalty. Blood over everything. Some people gonna learn that the hard way. Joanna's hands shook as she showed me her screen. He's been posting threats like this all week. Mostly about you. I know. I pulled up my own collection of screenshots. And I'm saving everyone. What happens now? Now? I gathered my evidence. The videos, the photos, the texts spanning months of deliberate recklessness. Now we tell the truth. All of it. They'll hate us, Joanna said softly. They already hate anyone who doesn't enable them. I stood up, gathering my things. But maybe that's not such a bad club to be in. As we left the coffee shop, my phone lit up one last time. A message from Emmett's lawyer. Your brother's looking at serious time. Your parents could face charges for enabling. Last chance to back out. I typed back 2 words. Keep going. The prosecutor's office was colder than I expected. Detective Rivera spread the evidence across her desk, while the prosecutor, Ms. Hayes, reviewed my statement. This is comprehensive, Hayes said, looking up. You documented everything. I'm a project manager, I replied. Documentation is what I do. Rivera pointed to a series of texts. Your parents were aware of his drunk driving? They enabled it, joked about it. Here. I pulled up a video from Joanna. This is from 2 weeks before the crash. The video played, my parents laughing as Jackson grabbed my car keys, clearly intoxicated. Mom's voice calling out, "Drive safe, sweetie," followed by more laughter. Hayes made notes. And the vehicle ownership? Registered to me. Insurance in my name. They weren't supposed to let him drive it. That was our agreement when I bought it. Because of his previous DUI. Previous DUI? Rivera leaned forward. We don't have that on record. You wouldn't. They paid off the officer. I have the bank transfers to prove it. A knock at the door interrupted us. Another detective entered, looking grim. Emmett Garcia's doctor just called. The nerve damage is permanent. He'll never regain full use of his hands. The room went quiet. I thought about Emmett's students, the lives he'd touched through music. All ended because my brother couldn't call a cab. "Ms. Barnes," Hayes said carefully, "you understand what this means? With your evidence, we're not just looking at charges against your brother. Your parents could face accessory charges." "I understand." "They're your family," Rivera said softly. "Are you sure?" The door burst open. My father stumbled in, reeking of alcohol, my mother right behind him. "There you are!" Mom shrieked. "How dare you? How dare you do this to us?" Security moved to intercept them, but Hayes held up a hand. "Let them speak." Dad lurched forward. "We raised you, put food in your mouth, clothes on your back, and this is how you repay us? By telling the truth?" I stood up. "Yes, that's exactly how I'm repaying you." "Truth?" Mom laughed hysterically. "The truth is, you're jealous of your brother. Always have been. You're trying to destroy him because he destroyed someone else's life?" I nodded to Hayes. "Show them." Hayes played the video from the night of the crash. They watched, faces draining of color, as their own voices encouraged their drunk son to drive. That's not," Dad stammered. "Not what? Not what it looks like? That's the problem, Dad. It's exactly what it looks like." Mom started crying, her signature move. "He's your brother, your own flesh and blood. And what about Emmett?" I pulled up his photo. "He has family too. People who love him, students who needed him. But you don't care about destroying their lives, do you?" "We thought you'd protect us," Dad whispered. "You always protected us." "Not anymore." Hayes cleared her throat. "Mr. and Mrs. Barnes, I'm charging your son with felony DUI causing serious bodily injury. And based on this evidence, you're both being charged as accessories." "You can't!" Mom lunged at me, but security caught her. "You evil, ungrateful." "Take them out," Hayes ordered. As they were led away, my father turned back. "We're your parents," he said, voice breaking. "Your family." "No," I met his eyes. "You're enablers who happened to raise me. There's a difference." After they were gone, Hayes gathered the evidence. "The DA will want to move quickly. Are you prepared for what comes next?" I thought about Emmett, about Joanna, about years of cleaning up messes that were never mine. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready." My phone buzzed. Jackson had posted again. "Family betrayal hits different. Watch your back, sis." I handed the phone to Rivera. "Add that to the evidence. He's been making threats all week." "We'll handle it," she assured me. "You did the right thing." Outside the prosecutor's office, I found Allison waiting. "Your mom called me again," she said, screaming about betrayal and family loyalty. "What did you tell her?" "That loyalty goes both ways, and that some families don't deserve it." My phone lit up with another message, this one from Emmett's lawyer. "He wants to meet you. Says he has questions only you can answer." I looked at Allison. "Will you come with me?" She squeezed my hand. "Every step of the way." Behind us, I could hear my mother's sobs echoing down the hallway, my father's angry protests. But for the first time in my life, their voices didn't have any power over me. I was free. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when Jackson's sentencing date arrived. I stood at the back, watching my brother being led in wearing an orange jumpsuit, his usual swagger replaced by shuffling steps. My parents huddled together nearby, both looking decades older than they had just months ago. Dad had lost his city contracts after the story broke. Mom's church friends had quietly distanced themselves. Their carefully constructed image of the perfect family had shattered. Joanna appeared beside me, clutching a folder. "The prosecutor wants me to testify about the videos. Are you ready?" She nodded. Jackson's lawyer tried to convince me not to. Offered money. Let me guess. Money that would supposedly come from me? He still thinks you'll swoop in at the last minute. Save him like always. Inside the courtroom, I saw Emmett for the first time since the crash. He sat in the front row, his once nimble hands resting uselessly in his lap. His mother helped him adjust his position, and the simple gesture made my throat tight. The judge entered, and the proceedings began. The prosecutor presented the evidence, my videos, Joanna's testimony, the documentation of years of enabled behavior. Jackson's lawyer tried to paint it as a one-time mistake, but the evidence was overwhelming. Then Emmett took the stand. "I taught piano for 15 years, he said quietly. Not just lessons. I helped kids find their voice, their confidence. Music was my language." He held up his damaged hands. "Now I can barely hold a cup of coffee." Jackson wouldn't meet his eyes. My parents stared at the floor. "The defendant's sister provided crucial evidence," the prosecutor said. "Would you like to address her?" Emmett turned to me. "Thank you," he said simply, "for choosing truth over comfort." My mother made a small, wounded sound. Then it was Jackson's turn. He'd traded his usual t-shirt and jeans for a suit that looked borrowed. His voice shook. "I'm sorry," he said, but he was looking at our parents, not at Emmett. "I never meant for this to happen. I always thought that your sister would fix it," the prosecutor interrupted. "Like she fixed everything else?" Jackson's face crumpled. For the first time, he looked his age. Not the eternal teenager our parents had protected, but a grown man facing consequences. The judge's voice cut through the tension. 10 years. No possibility of early parole. My mother started sobbing. Dad looked like he'd been shot. Jackson turned to me, finally meeting my eyes, his expression a mix of betrayal and desperate plea. But I had no more fixes to offer. Outside reporters swarmed my parents. "How do you respond to charges of enabling your son's behavior? What about the evidence your daughter provided? Is your family divided forever?" Mom spotted me through the crowd. "You!" she screamed. "You did this! You destroyed our family!" "No, Mom." I stayed calm as cameras swung toward us. "You did that. Every time you chose enabling over accountability. Every time you made me clean up his messes instead of letting him face consequences. He's your brother," Dad shouted. "And Emmett was someone's son, someone's teacher, someone who didn't deserve to have his life destroyed because you couldn't say no to your precious boy." Security moved between us as Mom tried to reach me, her manicured nails clawing the air. "We'll never forgive you. Never." "I know," I said. "I forgive myself. That's enough." Later that evening, my phone filled with voicemails. Mom, alternating between threats and tearful pleas. Dad, drunk and rambling about family loyalty. Jackson from jail, begging me to appeal, to hire better lawyers, to fix it one last time. I deleted them all. Allison called as I was leaving the courthouse. "You okay?" "No," I admitted. "But I will be." Emmett's lawyer called. "They're filing a civil suit against your parents for enabling. They'll probably lose everything." I thought about my childhood home, filled with things I'd paid for. The car I'd bought them. The bills I'd covered. The life they'd built on my reluctant generosity. "They already lost everything," I said. "They just don't know it yet." A final text came through, from Joanna. "Jackson's asking me to convince you to help. I blocked his number." "Good for you," I replied. The sun was setting as I walked to my car. Behind me, the courthouse doors closed on my family's comfortable lies. Ahead lay uncertainty, probably more drama, definitely more pain. But also freedom, and that was worth everything. My phone buzzed one last time. Mom again. "Please, sweetheart. We can still be a family. Just help us fix this." I turned off my phone and drove home, leaving their problems exactly where they belonged, with them. The moving truck pulled away from my parents' house, carrying the last of their possessions. They'd lost the civil suit, lost their home, lost everything except what they could fit in their small rental apartment. I watched from my car across the street, not hiding, not approaching, just witnessing. My phone rang. Emmett's number. "The scholarship fund is ready," he said. "We've already received applications from 3 students who couldn't afford lessons. After the civil suit, I'd established a music scholarship in Emmett's name. Not out of guilt, but because something good should come from all this pain." "How are the new teaching methods working?" I asked. "Better than expected." Despite everything, his voice held hope. "I can't play like before, but I can still teach theory, composition. The adaptive technology helps. It's different, but it's something." A tap on my car window startled me. Mom stood there, looking thin and tired, her designer clothes replaced by department store basics. I rolled down the window. "I'm not giving you money." "I know." She wrung her hands. I saw you sitting here." Saying goodbye to the house? Trying to understand. She looked at her feet. "How did we get it so wrong, Vivienne?" "You really want to know?" She nodded. "Get in." She hesitated, then walked around and slid into the passenger seat. I put my phone on speaker. "Emmett, my mother's here. Would you mind telling her about your students?" He was quiet for a moment. "The ones I can't teach anymore? Or the ones who lost their music scholarships when I couldn't work?" Mom flinched. "Both," I said. He told her. About Maria, who'd been preparing for Juilliard. About Tommy, whose single mom had scraped together lesson money for years. About dreams deferred, talent stunted, all because Jackson couldn't call a taxi. Mom started crying. Real tears this time, not her usual performance. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." "I know," Emmett said. "But sorry doesn't give me back my hands." After we hung up, Mom stared at the house. Her house, once. "Your father's drinking again," she said. "Worse than before. He blames you." "Of course he does. I did too for a while. But then I found this." She pulled out her phone, showed me an old photo. "Remember?" It was me at 16, holding a trophy from the science fair. In the background, Jackson was making faces, trying to ruin the photo. "You worked so hard on that project," Mom said. "But we left your ceremony early because Jackson had a baseball game. We always left early, didn't we? Always chose him." "Yes. And now he calls from prison, still asking for money, still expecting us to fix everything." She put the phone away. "We raised a monster, didn't we?" "You raised 2 children," I corrected. "You just never noticed the one who didn't cause problems." Dad appeared on the front steps, swaying slightly. When he saw us, his face darkened. "We should go," Mom said quickly. He's not good when he drinks now." "When was he ever?" She touched my arm, the first genuine gesture I could remember in years. "I understand now why you did it. We deserve this." It was never about deserving. It was about consequences. "Will you ever forgive us?" I looked at her, this woman who'd shaped my life with her choices, her enabling, her selective blindness. "I forgive you for what you did to me," I said finally, "but I'm not the one who lost their hands." She nodded, stepped out of the car. Dad was shouting something now, stumbling down the steps. "Mom," she turned back, "get help. Real help. Not for Jackson, not for Dad. For you." "I will." She straightened her shoulders. "Goodbye, Vivienne." I watched them leave, Mom walking ahead, Dad trailing behind, their shadows long in the setting sun. Then I called Joanna. "Just left my parents' house," I said. "The final move out. How do you feel?" I thought about Emmett's scholarship fund, about Mom's moment of clarity, about the weight lifting from my shoulders. "Free," I said. "I feel free." "Good." She paused. Jackson wrote again. Asked me to beg you for appeal money. What did you say? Nothing. Some bridges should stay burned. I started my car, took one last look at the house where I'd learned all the wrong lessons about love and loyalty. You know what, Joanna? Some bridges should never have been built in the first place. I drove away, leaving the past where it belonged, behind me, growing smaller in my rearview mirror with every mile. I didn't burn the bridge. I built the road out, and I never looked back.
I never thought I'd be sitting in a BMW dealership watching my brother test drive his fourth luxury car while I calculated how many more months I could nurse my failing Honda Civic before it died completely. But there I was, pretending to smile while Preston revved engines and our parents cooed over his excellent taste. My name is Sarah, and I've spent 28 years being the family's backup plan. The responsible one, the reliable one, the one who gets called when Preston needs a ride at 3 a.m. because he's too drunk to drive his own expensive car home. Sarah, honey, come look at this interior. My mother waved me over, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the showroom lights. Wouldn't this be perfect for Preston's wedding arrival? I nodded, the same way I'd nodded through every major family decision that somehow always centered around my older brother. The same way I'd nodded when he got a full ride to college while I took out loans. The same way I'd nodded when he borrowed my first car and totaled it with no consequences. It's nice, I said, running my hand along the leather seat. But isn't it a bit much? The wedding's already costing... Nothing's too much for your brother's special day, Dad cut in, his voice carrying that familiar edge of warning. Preston works hard. He deserves this. Preston emerged from the test drive, his future wife, Lucia, clinging to his arm like designer ivy. It handles like a dream, he announced. But the payments... We'll figure something out, Mom said quickly. As a family. Those words should have warned me. 3 days later, they called a family meeting at their house. I arrived straight from work, still in my marketing agency blazer, while Preston lounged in designer sweats. Lucia perched on the arm of his chair, scrolling through her phone. Sarah, Dad began, using his boardroom voice, we need to discuss your contribution to the wedding. I blinked. I already offered to help with the decorations and... We mean financially, Mom interrupted, reaching for my hand. I pulled back before she could touch me. Sweetie, we know you've been struggling with your career choices, but family helps family. We need you to sell your car, Dad said flatly. The money will help cover Preston's wedding transportation. The room went silent. Even Lucia looked up from her phone. My car? My voice came out smaller than I intended. But I need it for work. I can't... It's just a used Civic, Preston said, shrugging. You can take the bus. Lots of people do. That beater might cover napkins, Lucia added with a smirk. If we're lucky. I stared at them. These people who shared my blood but never my worth. My car wasn't much, but it was mine. Paid for with my money, maintained with my savings. The only thing I owned outright. You're not serious, I said. Very serious, Dad replied. Preston needs our support right now. You understand that, don't you? I looked at my mother, searching for any sign of protection. She avoided my eyes, suddenly fascinated by her manicure. When? I asked. The dealer can take it tomorrow, Preston said, already pulling out his phone. I'll have my guy handle the paperwork. My throat burned with words I couldn't say, with screams I'd been swallowing since childhood, with the rage of 1,000 small injustices leading to this moment. The next morning I signed over my car. Preston didn't even come to drive me home. Mum called an Uber telling me to keep the receipt for reimbursement. I never saw that money. That night I sat in my apartment, surrounded by bus schedules and rideshare calculations. My phone buzzed with a text from Preston. Thanks, sis. Knew you'd come through. I stared at those words until they blurred. until they transformed from letters into fuel, until they sparked something that had been waiting 28 years to ignite. They thought my silence meant surrender. They thought my compliance meant acceptance. They thought wrong. Opening my laptop, I created a new folder, named it Wedding Gift. Then I opened my banking app and started taking screenshots of every loan, every payment, every financial favour I'd ever done for Preston. This time, silence didn't mean surrender. This time, it meant war. "Girl, you're not going to believe what I found," Emily whispered, sliding into the chair next to my desk. It was lunch hour at the marketing agency, but my appetite had vanished the moment I saw the folder in her hands. As our company's financial analyst, Emily had access to public records that most people didn't know existed. When I told her about my car, she didn't just sympathise, she got angry. Then she got busy. "Your parents took out a second mortgage 3 months ago," she said, spreading documents across my desk. "Guess what for?" I scanned the paperwork. "Preston's down payment on a vacation home in the Hamptons." "Bingo, and that's not all." She pulled up more records on her tablet. "They've been systematically draining their retirement accounts. The withdrawals match perfectly with Preston's major purchases over the last 5 years. My hands shook as I added the documents to my growing digital archive. "They told me they couldn't help with my medical bills last year because they were being financially responsible." "Oh, it gets better," Emily said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Check your old college fund account." I logged into the long dormant account and my stomach dropped. "It's empty. How, that necklace Lucia's been flaunting, the one Preston supposedly designed for her?" "Yeah, that's where your education money went." I felt sick but not surprised. It was just another verse in the same old song. "Sarah," Marcus from the creative team appeared at my cubicle. "You okay? You look pale." "I'm fine," I said automatically, but Emily cut in. "She's not fine. Her family's toxic waste, and we're building a case." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "A case? For the wedding slideshow," I explained, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. "I'm making a special presentation." Understanding dawned in his eyes. He pulled up a chair. "Need any help?" That afternoon, I created a systematic approach to gathering evidence. Emily taught me how to document everything properly. Marcus helped me organise it all into clear, devastating categories: financial abuse, emotional manipulation, property theft. "Your brother's Instagram is a goldmine," Marcus said, scrolling through Preston's feed. "Every time he posts about a self-made success, there's a paper trail showing your parents' money behind it." I was screenshotting text messages when a new one arrived from Lucia to her friend. My blood ran cold as I read it. "OMG, you won't believe what Preston's sister did. Gave up her car for our wedding transport. Like, she's literally the family's emotional handmaid. So pathetic." Emily read it over my shoulder and swore. "Add it to the folder." "Which one?" I asked, my voice eerily calm. "Retaliation." That evening I stayed late at the office, cross-referencing dates and amounts. Marcus brought me coffee without asking. "You know," he said carefully, "revenge won't fix what they did." "I'm not looking to fix anything," I replied, adding another screenshot to my collection. "I'm looking to expose everything." My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I put it on speaker. "Sarah, honey, we need you to come help with wedding favours this weekend. Preston's too busy with work, and Lucia has her spa appointments." "Sure, Mom." I watched Emily mime gagging. "What time?" "Early, and bring those nice boxes from your craft supplies. The ones you were saving for your own wedding someday." I caught Marcus wincing. "Of course, Mom. Anything for family." After hanging up, I pulled up the final tally of everything I'd given up for Preston over the years. The number made Emily whistle. "You could have bought a house with that money," she said. "Instead, Preston has 3, I replied, adding another folder, tax evasion evidence. "But don't worry, I'm about to give him something much more valuable." "What's that?" I smiled, thinking of the wedding slideshow I was meticulously crafting. The truth, that night, as I waited for my bus home, I got a text from Lucia. "Those boxes better not be cheap ones from Target. This is a luxury wedding, not your sad little craft projects." I added the screenshot to my collection, then typed a reply. "Don't worry, Lucia, I'm putting together something special, just for you." Marcus texted moments later. "Need a ride home?" "No thanks," I replied. "I'm getting used to the bus. Gives me time to work on my wedding gift." The bus arrived, and as I climbed aboard, I thought about how my whole life had been spent making room for Preston's dreams. Now it was time to make room for something else. Justice. Opening my laptop, I created a new document titled Wedding Slideshow, The Real Preston Story. The best part, every single word would be true. "You're looking quaint today," Lucia said, stirring her third mimosa at the trendy brunch spot she'd chosen for our sisterly bonding. Her Cartier watch caught the light as she gestured at my outfit. "At least you tried," I smiled, adjusting my phone on the table so its camera faced her perfectly. "Thanks for inviting me, Lucia. It means a lot." "Well," Preston insisted, "he says we need to make more of an effort with you." She sighed dramatically. "Though honestly, I don't see the point. It's not like you'll be in the inner circle photos anyway." My recording app silently captured every word. "Inner circle photos?" I asked innocently. "The important ones. You understand?" She waved down a waiter. "More champagne, please. And she'll have water. That's all you can afford, right?" I nodded, letting her dig her grave deeper. "Money's tight since the car." "God, that car!" Lucia laughed. "Preston told me it was probably the only useful thing you've ever owned. I mean, at least it contributed to something meaningful, right?" The waiter returned with our drinks. I took a sip of water, buying time to keep my voice steady. "How did you and Preston meet again? I'd love to hear the story." Lucia launched into her favourite topic, herself. As she talked, I kept the recording running, catching every subtle dig, every backhanded comment. When she mentioned Preston's investment success, I asked just the right questions to make her brag about the vacation home my parents' retirement funded. "It's just so refreshing," she said, "finding a man who knows his worth. Preston never lets family hold him back. He told me he only has one sibling biologically. Emotionally, he's an only child." I forced a laugh. "That's funny." "Isn't it? Oh, speaking of funny, your mother showed me your old prom photos yesterday. I didn't even know they made dresses in that size." My phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "How's Operation Record the Witch going?" "Perfectly," I typed back while Lucia was distracted by her reflection in a spoon. "She's giving me gold." "Sarah," Lucia's sharp voice cut in, "are you even listening? I was saying how generous Preston and I are, letting you help with the wedding despite your limitations." "So generous," I agreed, pressing record again. "Tell me more about the wedding plans." 2 hours and 4 mimosas later, Lucia had given me enough material to fill an entire section of my presentation. As she stumbled to her Uber, she called back, "Don't forget, you're in charge of the welcome bags. Nothing cheap." I waited until her car disappeared before pulling out my phone. "Emily, we're going nuclear. I need editing help." That evening, I spread my evidence across my apartment floor. Marcus had come over to help organise it, bringing takeout and his expertise in presentation design. "Look at this text thread," he said, pointing to his laptop screen. "Your mum literally wrote, 'Don't tell Sarah about the college fund transfer. She wouldn't understand how important Preston's gift to Lucia is.' Add it to the parents' betrayal segment," I said, passing him another container of noodles. "Right after the medical bills they refused to help with." My phone rang, Preston calling. I put it on speaker. "Sarah, Mum says you had lunch with Lucia today. Wasn't she amazing?" "So refined." "Absolutely amazing," I replied, watching Marcus roll his eyes. "She really helped me understand my place in everything." "That's great. Listen, we need you to handle the welcome bags and guest favours. Lucia has very specific requirements. I'm texting you the list now. The list arrived. Imported chocolates, artisanal soaps, monogram towels. The total would cost more than my monthly rent. No problem, I said. Anything for family. After hanging up, Marcus looked at me seriously. You okay? Never better. I opened my laptop to the wedding slideshow draft. Want to see what I've done so far? We spent the next hour fine-tuning transitions between bank statements and text screenshots. Each slide was perfectly timed, each revelation more damning than the last. This is going to destroy them, Marcus said quietly. They destroyed themselves, I replied. I'm just showing the receipts. My phone buzzed again, a group text from Mom. Family dinner tomorrow. Sarah, please dress appropriately. Lucia's parents will be there. Wouldn't miss it, I texted back. Marcus helped me pack up the evidence, carefully storing everything in encrypted files. As he headed for the door, he paused. You know there's no going back after this, right? I thought about my empty bank account, my bus passes, my craft supplies commandeered for Preston's perfect day. I thought about years of being the family afterthought, the convenient sacrifice, the emotional handmaid. Going back to what? I asked. I never had anything to lose except my silence. After he left, I added one final touch to the slideshow, a childhood photo of Preston and me. In it, he's holding a trophy while I stand in the background, out of focus. The caption read, "Some family stories need to be rewritten." The rehearsal dinner was exactly what you'd expect. Expensive, excessive, and designed to make Preston shine. I sat at the furthest table from the wedding party, wedged between a distant cousin and someone's elderly aunt, who kept asking if I was the caterer. And now, the wedding planner Roman announced with practiced enthusiasm, we'll do a quick run-through of tomorrow's schedule, including the reception slideshow. My heart skipped. Emily squeezed my hand under the table. I have the USB with our test segment, I whispered. Just need to get it to Roman without Lucia seeing. Leave it to me. Emily stood up, accidentally on purpose spilling wine on her dress. Oh no! Roman, could you help me find the bathroom? As they disappeared, I slipped away from the table. Marcus caught my eye from across the room and gave me a subtle nod. The plan was in motion. I found Roman in the venue's control room, already loading various presentations for tomorrow. This is just to check the formatting, I said, handing him the drive. The real one will come tomorrow. Roman's eyes sparkled with mischief. Honey, I've been doing weddings for 10 years. I know a revenge plot when I see one. He winked. Your secret's safe with me. That bride's been a nightmare. We tested the segment, a seemingly innocent collection of childhood photos that suddenly transitioned into damning evidence. Roman actually clapped. The timing is perfect, he said. Right after their first dance, when everyone's emotions are high. Want to see how it looks on the big screen? Please! The test run was flawless. Every screenshot, every bank statement, every cruel text message was crystal clear. Emily wiped away a fake tear. It's beautiful, she said, like a true crime documentary, but with better lighting. Back at the dinner, I found Marcus waiting with a glass of wine. You seem calm, he said. Too calm. I've never been better. That's the scariest thing I've heard all night. He studied my face. You know, there are other ways to deal with family trauma. Therapy, for instance. I tried therapy, I replied. Cost me $3,000. Guess who needed that money for their engagement party? Before Marcus could respond, Lucia's voice cut through the room like a diamond on glass. Sarah, what were you doing in the control room? I turned to find her standing there, her white rehearsal dress practically glowing with privilege. Just checking the slideshow setup with Roman. Want to make sure everything's perfect for your big day. Her eyes narrowed. I thought Preston's groomsmen were handling the slideshow. They are. I'm just helping with technical details. How helpful. She glanced at the USB in my hand. What's that? Backup music playlist, Emily cut in smoothly. In case the DJ's system crashes, Sarah thinks of everything. Lucia wasn't convinced, but her mother called her away before she could press further. I let out a breath I hadn't realised I was holding. "That was close," Marcus murmured. "Too close," Emily agreed. "We need a backup plan." I pulled another USB from my purse. "Already have one. The AV tech owes me a favour. I helped his daughter get an internship at my agency." The rest of the dinner passed in a blur of toasts and traditions. Preston gave a speech about family values that made me want to scream. Mum cried about having the perfect son. Dad talked about legacy and pride. I sat quietly, playing my role one last time. Later, as guests were leaving, I overheard Lucia talking to her maid of honour. "Something's up with Sarah. She's being too nice." "Maybe she's finally accepted her place," her friend replied. "Maybe," Lucia frowned. "Or maybe she's planning something. Did you see her with that flash drive? What could she possibly do?" The friend laughed. "It's not like she has any power here." I smiled to myself, thinking of the perfectly curated evidence waiting to be unleashed tomorrow. Power doesn't always look like money or status. Sometimes it looks like truth, carefully documented and precisely timed. Emily drove me home, singing along to break-up songs on the radio. "You ready for tomorrow?" "I've been ready for 28 years. At my apartment, I found a text from Marcus. "Last chance to back out." I replied with a photo of my old car keys, the ones I'd had to surrender for Preston's wedding transport. "Some things," I wrote, "cost too much to let go unpaid." That night I slept better than I had in years, dreaming of justice served not with violence or drama, but with spreadsheets and screenshots. Tomorrow my silence would finally speak, and it would speak volumes. "Hold still," I said, carefully zipping up Lucia's wedding dress. The bridal suite buzzed with activity, bridesmaids touching up makeup, photographers snapping candids, my mother hovering like an anxious butterfly. "Can you believe it's finally happening?" Lucia preened in the mirror. "Everything's absolutely perfect." I caught Emily's eye in the reflection. She was posing as my assistant for the day, keeping the backup USB drive safe in her camera bag. "Sarah," my mother pulled me aside, her voice thick with emotion. "I just wanted to say, I'm proud of you. You finally understood your role in all this." "Thanks, Mum." I straightened her corsage. "I've learned a lot about family lately." "That's my girl." She patted my cheek. "You know, someday you'll thank us for teaching you about sacrifice." The word hit like a slap. Sacrifice, like my car, like my college fund, like every dream I'd ever had that got redirected to Preston's pocket. "Lucia needs her veil," one of the bridesmaids called out. I retrieved the delicate lace veil, worth more than 3 months of my rent, and carefully attached it to Lucia's perfectly styled hair. "You know," Lucia mused, adjusting the crystal headpiece, "I was just telling Preston how that old car of yours was probably the most useful thing you ever had. At least it served a purpose in the end." The bridesmaids tittered. My mother beamed proudly. "You're right," I said, my voice steady. "Everything serves its purpose eventually." A knock at the door announced Roman, the wedding planner. 5 minutes, ladies. Sarah, could you help me with some technical details for the reception?" "Technical details?" Lucia's head snapped around. "What technical details?" "Just double-checking the slideshow setup," I said smoothly. "Making sure your perfect day stays perfect." Outside the bridal suite, Roman pulled me into an empty room. "The USB is loaded and tested. Your backup person got the second copy to the AV tech. We're good to go." "Any suspicion from the groomsmen?" "Please," he rolled his eyes. "They're all 3 mimosas deep already. They think I'm handling everything." My phone buzzed. "Marcus. Last warning. This will change everything." I typed back, "That's the point." When I returned to the bridal suite, Preston was outside the door, looking nervous in his designer tuxedo. "Sarah, just the sister I needed." He grabbed my arm. "Listen, I need you to transfer some money to my account. The wedding car company is demanding final payment before they'll start driving. I don't have any money, Preston. You know that. Come on, there must be something. Your emergency fund? A credit card? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The golden boy, the entitled prince, the black hole that had swallowed every opportunity I'd ever had. No, I said simply. No. His face darkened. After everything we've done for you? You mean everything you've taken from me? What's that supposed to mean? Before I could respond, the wedding coordinator appeared. Places, everyone, we're starting. Preston hurried away, already pulling out his phone to probably call our parents for money. I watched him go, feeling strangely calm. Emily appeared at my side. USBs are in place. Roman's got the timing set. You sure about this? More sure than I've ever been about anything. The ceremony began. I took my place in the back row, not even part of the wedding party. Watched as Lucia floated down the aisle, listened as Preston promised to love and honour, wondering if he even knew what those words meant. My mother cried. My father beamed. The perfect family picture. I thought about the real picture waiting on that USB drive, the one made of bank statements and betrayals, of text messages and tears, of years of being told that love meant giving everything away. The ceremony ended. As guests moved toward the reception, Marcus found me. You look too calm, he said. I feel too calm, I replied, like everything's finally clear. Sarah, my mother's voice cut through the crowd, help Lucia with her dress train, and remember to smile in the photos, even if they're just the family website ones. I nodded, playing the good daughter one last time. In less than 2 hours, the slideshow would start. In less than 2 hours, 28 years of silence would turn into undeniable truth. Coming, Mom, I called back, catching Emily's eye across the room. She held up her phone, showing me the backup USB safely in place. Everything was ready. The stage was set. The truth was loaded and waiting. Time to show them exactly what family loyalty looked like. The reception was in full swing. Preston and Lucia had completed their first dance. The champagne was flowing, and Roman was approaching the microphone with practiced grace. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, please direct your attention to the screens for a special presentation celebrating our happy couple. My heart pounded as the lights dimmed. Emily squeezed my arm. Marcus stood nearby, ready to intervene if needed. The slideshow began innocently enough. Baby photos of Preston, carefully selected school pictures, family vacation snapshots where I was conveniently cropped out. Lucia cooed from her seat of honour. Then the music shifted. The first bank statement appeared on screen. Preston's jaw dropped. What the... He started to rise, but the images kept coming. Screenshots of text messages filled the screen. Sarah's such a doormat. Can't believe she gave up her car for us. Followed by Lucia's response. IKR, Preston says she's basically the family ATM. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone's wine glass shattered. Next came the mortgage documents, highlighted and annotated to show how my parents had leveraged their retirement for Preston's vacation home. Then the transfer records from my college fund to Lucia's jewellery account. Turn it off, my mother shrieked, but Roman was mysteriously absent from the controls. The evidence kept mounting. Years of financial abuse laid bare in pristine documentation. Preston's self-made success, exposed as a carefully constructed lie built on stolen opportunities and diverted funds. Who did this? Lucia's voice cut through the shocked murmurs. Her mascara was starting to run. Who did this? My father lunged for the projector cables, but the backup system kicked in seamlessly. Emily's careful planning at work. Then came the audio recordings. Of course we can't help Sarah with her medical bills. My mother's voice filled the room. Preston needs that money for his business venture. She'll understand, my father's voice replied. She always does. Lucia's parents were standing now, their faces red with fury. The wedding planner was pretending to struggle with the controls while actually ensuring everything played perfectly. The final segment began, a montage of Preston's social media posts about being self-made and working hard for success, each one followed by bank records showing where the money really came from. The last slide appeared, a childhood photo of Preston holding a trophy while I stood in the background. The caption read, "The price of a golden boy." The lights came up. The room was dead silent. Preston shot to his feet, his face contorted with rage. "Sarah, you did this!" I stood calmly, feeling oddly peaceful. "I learned from you, brother. Family helps family, remember?" "You ungrateful little—" He started toward me, but Marcus stepped between us. "Don't," Marcus warned quietly. Lucia was screaming at Preston now, her perfect makeup streaking down her face. "You told me your parents were funding our life because they believed in you. You said you were successful." "Baby, I can explain." Preston reached for her, but she recoiled. "Is it true?" she shrieked. "Did you take her college fund for my necklace?" My mother was sobbing, trying desperately to reach the AV controls. "Please, everyone, there's been a mistake." "The only mistake," I said clearly, "was thinking I would stay silent forever." The room erupted into chaos. Guests were recording everything on their phones. Lucia's father was demanding to speak to his lawyer. Preston's groomsmen were awkwardly trying to calm everyone down while clearly fighting their own shock. "You've ruined everything," my father growled, advancing toward me. "After all we've done for you." "Done for me?" I laughed, and the sound silenced half the room. "Would you like me to play the evidence again? I have copies, lots of copies." Emily held up her phone, already streaming. "It's going viral. Just Golden Boy debt is trending." Lucia threw her bouquet at Preston's head. "I want an annulment. I will not be married to a fraud." "Sweetheart," my mother grabbed my arm, her voice desperate. "We can fix this. We're family." I gently removed her hand. "Yes, we are. And family deserves the truth, doesn't it?" Preston was still trying to reach me, but Marcus and now several guests stood in his way. The wedding planner was gleefully pretending to accidentally play sections of the slideshow again while attempting to shut it down. "You'll regret this," Preston spat. I smiled, thinking of my empty bank account, my lost car, my years of silence. "No," I said quietly. "For the first time in my life, I don't regret anything." The room continued to dissolve into chaos around me, but I felt only peace. The truth was out. The silence was broken, and it was glorious. "You evil, ungrateful little witch!" Lucia screamed, mascara streaking down her face as she tried to lunge at me. Two of her bridesmaids held her back, though I noticed they were also filming on their phones. "Do you know how much this wedding cost?" "Actually, I do," I replied calmly. "Down to the last penny. Would you like to see the spreadsheet?" The reception hall had devolved into complete chaos. Guests were either filming, arguing, or trying to escape. Roman was gleefully playing selected highlights from the slideshow by accident, while pretending to struggle with the controls. "Sarah," Preston's voice was deadly quiet as he approached. "Take it down. Take it all down right now, and maybe we can fix this." "Fix what, exactly?" I pulled out my phone, opening my evidence folder. The tax evasion, the fraudulent loan applications, the illegal transfers. His face went white. Behind him, Lucia's father was already on the phone with his lawyer. "You wouldn't," Preston whispered. "I already did." I showed him my screen. "The IRS received an anonymous tip about an hour ago, very detailed, very thorough." He lunged at me then, all pretense of the charming golden boy gone. But Marcus was faster, stepping between us as Emily raised her phone. "Still streaming live," she announced cheerfully. 50,000 viewers and counting. Smile, Preston." My mother grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in painfully. "How could you do this to your brother, to this family?" "Family?" I looked at her hand, then into her eyes. "Was it family when you took my college fund? When you made me sell my car? When you ignored my medical bills? We needed... No, I cut her off. Preston wanted. There's a difference. My father stormed over, his face purple with rage. You'll never see a penny from us again. Dad, I haven't seen a penny from you since I was 18. That's kind of the point. Lucia had collapsed into a chair, her perfect white dress crumpled. The photos are already on Twitter, she wailed, staring at her phone. My followers are calling us frauds. Technically, Emily chimed in, they're calling you privileged parasites. Frauds is trending second. Preston made another move toward me, but this time several guests stepped in. The truth had turned the tide. People who'd spent years watching me be sidelined were finally seeing the whole picture. Is it true? One of Preston's groomsmen asked. Did you really take her car for the wedding transport? And her medical fund for Lucia's necklace, another guest added. Preston's face twisted. She's my sister. She owed me. There it is, I said quietly. The truth, at last. My mother was still trying to damage control, running from guest to guest. It's a misunderstanding. She's always been jealous of her brother's success. Success, Lucia's father thundered. You call fraud success? My daughter married a con man. Former daughter, Lucia sobbed. I want an annulment. Roman appeared at my side with a champagne flute. Honey, I've done over 300 weddings and this is by far my favourite. Want to see the viral numbers? My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Back door's clear if you want to make an exit. But I wasn't done yet. Mom, Dad, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Remember when you said someday I'd thank you for teaching me about family? They froze. Thank you, I continued. You taught me exactly what family shouldn't be. Preston charged again, but this time multiple guests intercepted him. In the scuffle, someone knocked over the wedding cake. It fell in slow motion, white frosting splattering across Preston's designer suit. My cake, Lucia screamed. Do you know how much that cost? Actually, Emily said, pulling up a document on her tablet, according to these credit card statements, it cost exactly the same amount as Sarah's emergency appendectomy that your parents refused to help with. The room went quiet. I think, Marcus said into the silence, this wedding is over. Security was arriving, called by the venue staff. Guests were leaving in waves, their phones still recording. Lucia's parents were demanding their money back. Preston was trying to salvage his social media presence while simultaneously threatening legal action. But I felt light, free. Sarah, my father called as I headed for the door, if you walk out now, you're no longer part of this family. I turned back one last time, looking at the wreckage of Preston's perfect day. The evidence of years of manipulation still playing on loop on the giant screens. The truth finally laid bare. Dad, I said, I was never really part of it to begin with. Marcus held the door for me. Emily was already calling an Uber. Behind us, the chaos continued, but I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The truth was out. And it was enough. The sunset painted the scenic overlook in shades of orange and pink as I parked my newly purchased used car, a reliable Honda that Marcus had helped me find. Emily sat beside me, scrolling through the aftermath of what social media had dubbed Ch-Ch Wedding Gate. The IRS investigation is officially public, she announced. Preston's business empire is under scrutiny. Lucia's already changed her relationship status to complicated. My phone buzzed with another text from my mother. Please call us. We can explain everything. I added it to the 100 others I hadn't answered. Your story hit Reddit's front page, Emily continued. People are sharing their own family financial abuse stories. You've started a movement. Marcus's car pulled up beside us. He got out holding 3 coffee cups and a newspaper. You made the local news. Wedding slideshow exposes years of family financial fraud. How poetic, I said, accepting the coffee. Any word from Preston? His social media's gone dark, but rumour has it he's staying at your parents' house while Lucia's lawyers process the annulment. The wind picked up, carrying away the last warmth of the day. I pulled my jacket closer, thinking about the empty house I'd returned to after the wedding. How the silence had felt different, chosen rather than imposed. Your parents tried to contact me at work, Emily said. Wanted me to convince you to take down the evidence. Too late for that, Marcus replied. The IRS has copies, so does the bank's fraud department. My phone rang, a number I didn't recognise. When I answered, it was Roman. Darling, you've ruined me, he said dramatically. Every bride now wants to know if their wedding slideshow will expose family secrets. I'm booked solid through next year. I laughed and the sound was genuine. Send me a commission. After hanging up, I noticed Marcus watching me carefully. And any regrets? About exposing the truth? No. I took a sip of coffee. About losing my family? They were never really mine to lose. Emily's phone chimed. Oh, this is interesting. Your parents' country club membership has been revoked pending the financial investigation. Apparently, fraud isn't very prestigious. Preston must be devastated, I said. No more networking on the golf course. A text from my father arrived. You've destroyed this family's reputation. I hope you're satisfied. Marcus read it over my shoulder. Are you satisfied? I thought about my old car now sold for Preston's wedding transport that was never even used. About my empty college fund, transformed into a necklace Lucia had thrown at Preston during their fight. About years of being told that family meant giving until you had nothing left. I'm not satisfied, I said finally, but I'm free. That's better. Emily pulled up another article. The bank is reviewing all their loans. Your parents might lose the vacation house they bought for Preston. Good, I said. Maybe they can use the bus. I hear it builds character. Marcus touched my hand lightly. You know, most people would have just walked away, started over somewhere new. I tried that. It didn't stop them from taking. Some things need to be faced head on. My phone buzzed again, Preston calling. I put it on speaker. Happy now? His voice cracked with fury. Mum's crying constantly. Dad's reputation is ruined. Lucia's lawyers are circling, all because you couldn't handle not being the favourite. No, Preston, all because you couldn't handle not taking everything. I'm your brother. You're a thief who happens to share my DNA. There's a difference. After I hung up, Emily raised her coffee cup. To karma. To documentation, Marcus added. To the truth, I finished. The sun had almost disappeared now, taking with it the last traces of the life I'd lived in silence. Tomorrow would bring more fallout, more accusations, more attempts to make me feel guilty for exposing what they'd done. But for now, sitting between two people who had helped me find my voice, I felt something I'd never experienced in all my years of being the family sacrifice. Peace. Emily started the car. Dinner. I know a place that serves excellent revenge cold. Actually, I said, I was thinking of starting a support group for others who've been financially abused by family. The response to my story shows how common it is. Marcus smiled. Need help setting up the website? Always. As we drove away from the overlook, my phone lit up with one last text from my mother. Family should protect each other's secrets. I typed back my final response. Family shouldn't create secrets that need protecting. Then I turned off my phone, rolled down the window, and let the night air wash away the last echoes of obligation. They had asked me to give everything I had for family, so I did. I gave them the truth, and I kept my freedom.
The last person I expected to kick me out of my childhood home was my stepmother, but there she stood in her designer black dress, fresh from my father's funeral, telling me I had 20 minutes to leave. My name is Amara, and less than 3 hours ago I had watched my father's casket lower into the ground. Now I was staring at Rosalind's perfectly manicured finger pointing toward the door of what had been my home for 25 years. "This isn't right," I managed to say, my voice cracking. "Dad wouldn't—" "The will was very clear, dear?" Rosalind's smile didn't reach her eyes. "The house and all assets transfer to me. You received— well, nothing actually. Your father made his choices." My stepsister Destiny smirked from the doorway, phone in hand as always. "Better start packing, sis." I felt dizzy. This couldn't be happening. Dad and I had been close, closer than close. He'd raised me alone after Mum died until he married Rosalind when I was 12. Even then, we'd maintained our special bond, our Sunday morning chess games, our inside jokes, the way he'd leave me little notes with quotes from his favourite philosophers. "I want to see the will," I demanded, my hands shaking. "Already filed with the courts." Rosalind checked her watch. 19 minutes now. Tick-tock. I rushed upstairs to my room, tears blurring my vision. Most of my things were still there from before Dad got sick, when I'd moved back home to help care for him. Photos, books, memories, a life I couldn't pack in minutes. My stepbrother Dylan appeared in the doorway. "Need help?" "Don't pretend to care now," I snapped, grabbing my backpack. "You stood there silent through everything. Through her keeping me from his hospital room, through her changing the locks while I was at the pharmacy getting his meds." Dylan looked away. "It's complicated." 15 minutes, Rosalind called up the stairs, her voice sickeningly sweet. I grabbed what I could, clothes, my laptop, the photo album Dad and I had put together on my 21st birthday. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely zip the bag. "Time's up," Destiny sang out. "Security's here." I turned to see 2 men in uniform at my door. Private security, not police. Of course, Rosalind would have arranged this. "Miss, we need you to leave the premises," the taller one said, not unkindly. "This is my home," I protested, but my voice sounded small even to me. They escorted me downstairs, past the familiar walls now feeling like a museum of betrayal. Rosalind stood by the front door, holding it open with exaggerated patience. "Don't forget to leave your house key," she said. "And don't come back. Any attempts to enter the property will be treated as trespassing." I dropped the key on the marble floor at her feet. "You won't get away with this." "I already have." She closed the door in my face. I stood there in the fading afternoon light, clutching my hastily packed bag and the photo album to my chest. My phone buzzed. Probably Stacy, my best friend, checking in after the funeral. I couldn't answer. Couldn't move. Finally, I walked to my car. The only thing I was sure was still mine. Inside, I let out a sob that had been building since the funeral. Since before the funeral, really. Since the night Dad died, and Rosalind had blocked my number. The photo album slipped from my lap, falling open. Something small and brass clattered onto the floor. A key? I picked it up, frowning. Tucked into the album's binding was a folded note in Dad's familiar handwriting. "My dearest Amara, if you're reading this, I fear the worst has happened. Behind the third panel of my study's bookshelf is a door. This key opens it. Trust no one until you've seen what's inside. I love you. Dad." I stared at the note, then at the key. Dad's study, his private sanctuary where he'd spent hours working, reading, thinking. The room Rosalind had declared off-limits the moment he died. My phone buzzed again. This time I answered. "Stacy, I need your help and— do you still talk to Lucas? The one who became a detective? I need him too." I looked back at the house, at the study window where Dad used to wave to me when I came home from school. He'd known. Somehow he'd known this would happen. "Don't worry, Dad," I whispered, starting the car. "I'll make this right." The key felt warm in my palm, like an ember of hope in the darkness. Tomorrow I'd find out what was behind that panel, and Rosalind would learn that she'd picked the wrong daughter to betray. A real estate showing. Stacy's eyebrows shot up as she read the online listing on her phone. "She's already selling the house?" 9 a.m. tomorrow, I confirmed, pacing my tiny apartment. "Open house? That's our chance." Lucas leaned against my kitchen counter, still in his detective suit from work. "Let me get this straight. You want us to sneak into your father's study during a public showing to find a secret door? Not sneak. Walk in legally, like any other potential buyers." I held up the brass key. "Dad left this for a reason." "And you're sure this is the only way?" Lucas asked. "Rosalind's got security patrolling at night. During the showing, she'll be distracted with buyers. It's perfect, Stacy nodded. I'm in. But what if she recognizes us? She's never met Lucas, and you've changed your hair since the last time she saw you. I gestured to Stacy's new platinum blonde bob. Just don't make eye contact. The next morning, we parked a block away. My heart hammered as we approached the house. Cars lined the street. At least a dozen potential buyers had shown up. Remember, Lucas whispered, we're a young couple looking for our first home. Stacy's my sister helping us shop. Inside, the house smelled of vanilla candles, Rosalind's signature staging scent. She stood in the foyer, chatting with an older couple. Her eyes slid past us without recognition. The study's this way, I murmured, leading them down the familiar hallway. We entered the book-lined room where I'd spent countless hours with Dad. Now it felt hollow, staged. The antique desk where he'd taught me chess was gone, replaced by some modern glass monstrosity. Look natural, Lucas said, pretending to examine crown moulding while I moved to the bookshelf. My fingers found the edge of the third panel. It looked identical to the others, but when I pressed, I felt a slight give. Someone's coming, Stacy warned. Destiny's voice carried from the hallway. The study has original hardwood and great natural light. I slipped the key into the nearly invisible keyhole and turned it. Click. Now what? Stacy whispered. I pushed. The panel swung inward silently, revealing a dark space beyond. Quick, Lucas urged, keeping watch. I slipped inside, pulling out my phone's flashlight. The hidden room was small, maybe 6 feet square. Metal filing cabinets lined one wall. A small safe sat on a shelf. Oh my God, I breathed. What is it? Stacy poked her head in. Dad's real office. Look. I pointed my light at the walls. They were covered in papers, photos, and sticky notes, all connected with red string like something from a crime show. Amara? Lucas hissed. Hey, hurry. I grabbed what I could. A stack of papers, a USB drive, what looked like legal documents. In the safe, I found another key labelled Box 221, First National. Footsteps approached. I slipped out, easing the panel shut. It clicked just as Destiny entered with an elderly couple. The built-ins are original to the house, she was saying. She faltered slightly, seeing us. Oh, hello? Beautiful room, Lucas said smoothly, taking my hand. Honey, what do you think about the light? I forced a smile. It's perfect. We made our way out, past Rosalind, who was now describing the kitchen's marble countertops to a crowd of buyers. My hand clutched the documents inside my jacket. In the car, I finally breathed. I can't believe that worked. What did you find? Stacy asked. I pulled out the papers. On top was a document titled Last Will and Testament. This is dated 3 months ago, I said, scanning it. After the one Rosalind filed, and it's completely different. How so? Lucas asked. It names me as sole executor. Says I inherit everything. The house, his investments, everything. My hands shook. There's a note paper-clipped to it. Real copy with Edith. Edith? Your dad's old attorney? Stacy asked. I nodded. She retired last year. Rosalind must not have known about her. This could change everything, Lucas said. But Amara, if Rosalind filed a different will, that's fraud. Serious fraud. Look at this. I held up the safety deposit box key. Whatever's in that box, Dad wanted me to find it. He left a trail. We should call Edith, Stacy said. First thing tomorrow? I stared at the key. But tonight, I need to read everything we found. Dad was investigating something. Those strings on the wall, all those papers. He was building a case. Against Rosalind? Lucas asked. I thought of my stepmother's cold smile at the funeral. We're going to find out. And when we do, she'll wish she'd never underestimated me. Edith's home office smelled like coffee and old books. She adjusted her reading glasses, examining the documents we'd recovered. Your father came to see me 3 months before he died, she said. He was worried about Rosalind's behaviour, especially after he discovered some concerning financial transactions. What kind of transactions? I asked. Large sums being moved to offshore accounts. Edith pulled out a thick folder. He asked me to keep copies of everything, including this. She handed me a notarized will. identical to the one we'd found in the hidden room. This is the real will? The legal one? Yes, and I have video of your father signing it, with witnesses. Edith's eyes hardened. What Rosalind filed is a fraud. My phone buzzed. A text from Stacy. Turn on Channel 7 now. Edith grabbed her remote. The local news showed Rosalind outside an auction house, surrounded by reporters. These are priceless family antiques, Rosalind was saying. My late husband would have wanted them to find loving homes. Stop the auction. Edith was already dialing. Those pieces are listed in the real will. She has no right to sell them. Within an hour, Edith's legal team had served the auction house with an emergency injunction. I watched through social media as Rosalind received the news live, her perfect mask cracking for just a moment. That's just the beginning, Edith said, hanging up. We're filing to contest the fraudulent will tomorrow morning. But Amara, you should know. Your father left something else with me. She pulled out a sealed envelope. Inside was a USB drive and a letter. My dearest daughter, I read aloud. If you're reading this, then my suspicions about Rosalind were correct. The drive contains financial records, emails, and recordings of conversations that worried me. Be careful who you trust. She has powerful friends. Love, Dad. We should get these to Lucas, I said. Have the police. A knock at Edith's door made us both jump. Her secretary poked her head in. Ms. Rosalind is here. She's demanding to speak with you. Perfect timing. Edith smiled grimly. Amara, use my back door. I'll handle her. I slipped out, but not before hearing Rosalind's shrill voice. How dare you interfere with my auction? Back home, I started going through the USB drive. Dad had been meticulous, documenting everything. Emails showed Rosalind discussing account transfers with someone named M. Bank statements revealed millions moving through shell companies. My phone rang. Lucas, you need to see this, he said. Those transfers? They line up exactly with your father's hospital stays. Every time he was admitted, money moved. What are you saying? I'm saying someone might have been paying to keep him sick. Lucas paused. Or worse. A sharp knock at my door made me freeze. Then something slid underneath. A white envelope. Hang on, I told Lucas, approaching cautiously. The hallway was empty. Inside the envelope was a single note, cut from magazine letters. You don't know who you're messing with. Back off or else. Lucas, can you come over? Bring your kit. He arrived 20 minutes later, dusting the note for prints. Professional job, he said. No prints, generic paper. But this tells us something important. What? Rosalind's scared. You've got her running. My phone chimed with an email from Edith. Hearing scheduled for Monday. Rosalind's lawyer requesting delay. Don't worry, Judge is an old friend. This is happening. I looked at the threatening note, then at Dad's letter. She thinks she can scare me off. She doesn't understand. Dad left me everything I need to take her down. Be careful, Lucas warned. These types of cases can get ugly. They already are. I opened Dad's financial records. Help me go through these? There's something here about a company called Maritime Holdings. We worked late into the night, piecing together the puzzle Dad had left behind. Each discovery made my blood run colder. The money, the timing, the hidden accounts. Around midnight, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. You're just like your father. Too stubborn to let things go? Remember what happened to him? I showed Lucas. That's it, he said, pulling out his phone. I'm putting a patrol car outside your building tonight. No, I said, saving another batch of incriminating files. Let her think she's getting to me. The more desperate she gets, the more mistakes she'll make. I pinned the threatening note to my wall, right next to Dad's letter. Monday can't come fast enough. Look at this, Lucas said, pointing to his laptop screen. The metadata on the will Rosalind filed? It shows editing timestamps from 2 days after your father died. We were in his office at the police station, surrounded by printouts and coffee cups. 3 days had passed since the threatening note. She edited a PDF of Dad's will. I leaned closer. Badly. She didn't know how to clear the digital trail. He clicked through several files. The original document properties are still there. Can we prove it's fraud? With this? Absolutely. He saved the evidence to a flash drive. But there's more. Those bank transfers we found? They trace back to an account in the Cayman Islands opened in your stepsister's name. My phone buzzed. A gallery invitation. Speaking of destiny, what is it? She's having an art showing tonight. Her first solo exhibition. I made air quotes. Funded by my father's money, no doubt. Don't do anything rash, Lucas warned. Me? Never. I grabbed my coat. I just want to congratulate my dear stepsister on her success. The gallery was packed when I arrived. Destiny stood in the centre, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my car, champagne in hand. Her face fell when she saw me. You're not welcome here. Beautiful work, I said, gesturing to the nearest painting. Amazing what you can accomplish with stolen money. You don't know what you're talking about. But her hand shook, splashing champagne. Maritime Holdings ring a bell? The Cayman account? She grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a quiet corner. Keep your voice down. Why? Afraid your fancy art friends might learn where your startup capital came from? You think you're so smart. Her perfectly made-up face twisted. You have no idea what we had to do, what we worked for? We. She caught herself taking a long drink. Get out before I call security. Don't worry, I'm leaving. But first, I pulled out my phone, showing her the metadata evidence. Might want to warn Mom about her sloppy PDF editing. Her face went pale. How did you... Dad taught me to always keep receipts. I turned to leave, then paused. By the way, the gallery owner? Old family friend. Might want to start packing these up before the fraud investigation freezes your assets. Back in my car, I called Lucas. Destiny just confirmed it. They worked together to forge the will. Good. We can add that to... He stopped. Hold on. Something just came through about your father's computer. What about it? Tech team found deleted files. Lots of them. Voice memos mainly. Can they recover them? Already did. I'm sending you one now. Amara, you need to hear this. I played the file. Dad's voice filled my car. October 15th. Confronted Rosalind about the missing funds. She denied everything, but I saw her later speaking with Marcus from the hospital board. Something's not right. If anything happens to me, the proof is in the study. Amara will know what to do. My hands gripped the steering wheel. When was this recorded? 3 days before his first cardiac episode, Lucas said quietly. She did something to him. She and this Marcus person. My voice cracked. We have to prove it. We will. But Amara, whoever Marcus is, he's got hospital connections. This goes deeper than just Rosalind. My phone chimed with another text from the unknown number. Last warning. Drop the case or join your father. I forwarded it to Lucas. They're getting desperate. Stay at my place tonight. We don't know what they're capable of. No. I started the car. I need to check one more thing at the house. The study? There might be more recordings. Don't go alone. I won't. Stacy's meeting me there. I pulled out into traffic. Besides, Rosalind's at some charity gala tonight. House will be empty. Be careful. And Amara, we're close. Don't let them spook you now. I hung up, Dad's voice memo still echoing in my head. He'd known. He'd tried to fight back, and they'd done something to silence him. Don't worry, Dad, I whispered, turning toward the house that was rightfully mine. I'm not backing down, not until they pay for everything they did to you. The brass key felt heavy in my pocket, a weight of responsibility, of justice waiting to be served. Whatever I found tonight, whatever threats they made, I was ready. The time for warnings was over. The hidden study felt colder this time. Stacy held her phone light steady while I connected Dad's old laptop to a power source. Are you sure about this? She whispered. The voice memo mentioned more proof. I typed in his password. It has to be here. The computer hummed to life. Dozens of audio files populated the screen, each dated and labelled. I clicked the most recent one. Final recording. Dad's voice filled the small space. If you're hearing this, Rosalind got to me first. I've suspected for months she's been working with Marcus from the hospital board. The medications they've prescribed, they're not helping. They're making things worse. Stacy grabbed my arm. Amara. I've gathered evidence, Dad continued. Bank statements showing payments to Marcus. Security footage from my office when they thought I was asleep. It's all here. And copies are with Edith. Rosalind doesn't just want my money. She wants everything I've built. And Marcus, he's helping her destroy it all. A noise downstairs made us freeze. Someone's here, Stacy mouthed. I quickly copied the files to my phone. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The panel, I whispered. Quick! We slipped inside just as the study door opened. Through the tiny gap, I saw Rosalind enter with a man in an expensive suit. It has to be here somewhere, she was saying. That brat found something. She knows too much. The hearing's in 2 days, the man replied. Must be Marcus. If she has proof of the tampering, she doesn't. But her father... Rosalind ran her hands along the bookshelf. He was always too clever for his own good. My phone chose that moment to ding, the file transfer completing. Rosalind's head snapped toward the panel. Did you hear that? Marcus approached the bookshelf. This section looks different. I held my breath. Stacy's hand found mine in the darkness. It's just an old house, Rosalind said. The important thing is stopping that girl before Monday. The medication logs, the payment records. If those get out... They won't, Marcus assured her. I've already contacted someone to handle it. Like we handled her father? My blood ran cold. That was different, Marcus said. The sedatives were untraceable, a tragic cardiac event in a sick man. But Amara, she's young, healthy. It would raise questions. Then find another way. Rosalind's voice hardened. I didn't come this far to lose everything to Marvin's precious daughter. They left, closing the study door. We waited 5 minutes before daring to breathe. We need to call Lucas, Stacy whispered. Right now. My hands shook as I dialed. Lucas? They're planning something. I heard them. Rosalind and Marcus, they killed my father. Sedatives in his medication. Where are you? The study. We found recordings. Dad knew they were poisoning him. Stay there. I'm coming with a team. But as I hung up, another voice memo caught my eye. Dated the day before Dad died. My final message to Amara. I pressed play. Sweetheart, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I tried to fight them, to expose what they were doing. The altered medications, the missing funds. It's all connected to Marcus's hospital board. Rosalind's been helping them embezzle for years. I have proof, but I'm getting weaker. Whatever they're giving me, it's working. Remember what I taught you about chess. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a piece to win the game. I'm your sacrifice play, darling. Use what I've left you. Make them pay. I love you. Tears streamed down my face. Stacy hugged me tight. We've got them, she said. We've got everything we need. My phone buzzed. Edith. Emergency meeting. Marcus just filed an injunction to stop Monday's hearing. Let him try, I texted back. I have the final proof. Dad left us everything. Sirens approached outside. Lucas and his team arriving. Ready? Stacy asked. I looked around the hidden room one last time, at the evidence Dad had gathered, the trap he'd set, knowing he might not survive to spring it. They killed my father, I said. Slowly poisoned him while pretending to care for him. Now it's my turn to show them what real care looks like. We emerged from behind the panel just as Lucas entered with uniformed officers. We got it all on recording, I told him. Their confession. Everything. Good. He nodded to his team. Let's go pay Rosalind and Marcus a visit. The police station's interview room felt suffocating. I watched through the one-way glass as Lucas questioned Dylan, who kept fidgeting with his designer watch. Tell me again about the night your stepfather died, Lucas said. Dylan's voice cracked. I already told you. Tell me again. I was downstairs. Mom was upstairs with Marvin. I heard them arguing. About what? His medication. He was saying something wasn't right, that he felt worse. Dylan swallowed hard. Then I heard Mom on the phone with Marcus. What did she say? She said everything was going according to plan, that soon they wouldn't have to worry about Marvin interfering anymore. His hands shook. An hour later, Dad was dead. I pressed my palm against the glass. Next to me, Edith scribbled notes furiously. Why didn't you come forward before? Lucas asked. Mum said she'd cut me off. And Marcus, he knows things about what I did at the hospital. What things? I helped falsify some records, changed medication logs. I didn't know they were... I thought it was just insurance fraud. The door opened. Another detective entered with a file. "The toxicology report you requested," she told Lucas. "Second opinion from an independent lab." Lucas opened it, then slid it across to Dylan. "Recognize these medications?" Dylan's face went pale. That's not what they told me they were giving him." "No," Lucas said. "These are powerful sedatives, combined with his heart condition. Oh God." Dylan put his head in his hands. "I helped them kill him." I turned away, unable to watch more. In the hallway, Stacy waited with coffee. "How's it going?" "Dylan's talking. Apparently, he helped them cover it up." I took a shaky sip. "Where's Rosalind?" "Still in custody. She's demanding her lawyer." My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You'll regret this." "Marcus," I said. "He's still out there." "Not for long." Lucas emerged from the interview room. Dylan gave us everything. The medication logs, the bank transfers, even recordings of conversations between Marcus and Rosalind. Where would Marcus go? "We've got units at his house and the hospital." Lucas checked his phone. "Border Patrol's been notified. He won't get far." Edith joined us, legal pad in hand. This changes everything for Monday's hearing. With Dylan's testimony and the new toxicology report. A commotion down the hall interrupted her. Destiny burst in, mascara streaking her face. "You!" She lunged at me. Officers held her back. "You ruined everything." "Your mother killed my father," I said calmly. "She poisoned him slowly while you all watched." "You don't understand. Marcus was going to make me head of hospital administration. We were going to be somebody." "You already were somebody," I said. "You were his family, and you helped murder him." She collapsed into sobs as officers led her away. My phone buzzed again, this time a news alert. My heart stopped. "Marcus found dead in apparent suicide," I read aloud. "Police discovered his body." "Convenient," Lucas muttered. "Too convenient," Edith agreed. "Rosalind must have had a contingency plan." Another officer approached with an evidence bag. "Found this in Marcus's office. Thought you should see it." Inside was a handwritten confession, detailing everything. The embezzlement scheme, the medication tampering, Rosalind's involvement. A perfect bow to wrap up the case. "He didn't write this," I said. "This is exactly what Rosalind wanted. A dead scapegoat who can't defend himself." "Doesn't matter," Lucas said. "We have Dylan's testimony, the recordings, the toxicology report. She's not getting away with this." My phone rang. The hospital board chairman. "Amara, we've reviewed the evidence. The board is prepared to testify about Marcus's suspicious activities over the past year." "We had no idea." "Thank you," I said. "That will help." I hung up and looked at the interview room where Dylan sat, broken and confessing, at Destiny being led away in tears, at the evidence mounting against the woman who thought she could take everything from me. "Monday's hearing," I said to Edith. "Will you be ready?" She smiled grimly. "Oh yes, your father left us everything we need. Rosalind thought she was so clever, but she never understood what she was up against. A father's love," Stacy said softly, "and a daughter's determination." I touched the brass key in my pocket, the key that had unlocked not just a hidden room, but the whole twisted truth. "Let's finish this," I said. "For Dad." The courtroom fell silent as Rosalind took the stand. She'd traded her designer clothes for something more subdued, a navy suit that screamed, "Grieving widow." Her performance was starting. "Mrs. Parker," her lawyer began, "did you love your husband?" "With all my heart." Her voice quavered perfectly. "Everything I did was for our family." "Including forging his will?" Edith stood. "Including slowly poisoning him to death?" "Objection. Withdrawn." But Edith's point had landed. Rosalind's mask slipped for just a second. "I'd like to present evidence," Edith continued, nodding to the bailiff. A screen lowered. "This is security footage from Marvin's home office, dated 3 days before his death." The video played. Dad at his desk, looking frail. Rosalind entering with a glass of water and pills. "Take these, darling. Doctor's orders." "They make me feel strange." Dad's voice was weak. "Worse than before." "Trust me, Marcus knows what's best." The judge leaned forward. "And these medications were?" Sedatives, Edith said. Not the heart medication prescribed? The toxicology report confirms it. Rosalind's lawyer jumped up. This proves nothing. My client was following doctor's orders. Really? Edith pressed play on an audio file. Rosalind's voice filled the courtroom. Everything's going according to plan. Soon we won't have to worry about Marvin interfering anymore. Rosalind's composure cracked. That's taken out of context. Then let's add context. Edith gestured to the bailiff. The court calls Dylan Phillips. My stepbrother walked in, shoulders hunched. He wouldn't meet his mother's eyes. Tell us what you witnessed the night Marvin died. Dylan's testimony was devastating. The medication swaps, the conversations with Marcus, the systematic destruction of my father's health. And the will? Edith prompted. Mum edited it after he died. I watched her do it. The original... He glanced at me. The original left everything to Amara. Rosalind stood up. He's lying. Dylan, how dare you? Sit down, Mrs. Parker, the judge ordered. The court has heard testimony from the hospital board, Edith continued. About millions in embezzled funds, about Marcus's suspicious death, about your involvement in both. You can't prove, but we can. I handed Edith the final piece, Dad's last recording. His voice echoed through the courtroom. Rosalind and Marcus are poisoning me. The evidence is all here. The altered medications, the missing funds. Rosalind lunged toward the speaker. Turn it off! Restrain the defendant, the judge ordered. 2 officers moved forward. Rosalind's perfect mask shattered completely. He was ruining everything, she screamed. All our plans, our future. Marcus promised me the hospital board position. We would have been unstoppable. The courtroom erupted. The judge banged his gavel. Remove Mrs. Parker, and given her outburst, I'm ordering her held without bail. As they led her away, she locked eyes with me. You're just like him, always thinking you're so clever. No, I said clearly. I'm worse, because I finished what he started. The judge's ruling was swift. The fraudulent will was invalidated. Dad's real will, the one leaving everything to me, was reinstated. Criminal charges would follow. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. How does it feel to expose the truth? What happens to the hospital board now? Any comment on Marcus's suspicious death? Edith shepherded me through them. My client has no comment except this. Justice was served today. A daughter's inheritance was restored. A father's murder was avenged. Lucas waited by his car. Need a ride? Actually, I looked at the house keys in my hand. My house keys now. I need to go home. Want company? I shook my head. This part I need to do alone. The house was quiet when I entered. Moving companies had already cleared out Rosalind's things. In Dad's study, the hidden panel stood open. I walked inside one last time. The evidence wall was empty now, everything catalogued into police evidence. But Dad's presence remained. My phone buzzed. A text from Dylan. I'm sorry for everything. I know it doesn't help, but I needed you to know. I didn't respond. Some betrayals run too deep for forgiveness. Instead, I sat at Dad's desk, my desk now, and opened his journal to the last page. His final written words stared back at me. Remember, my darling girl, the truth always rises, like cream, like justice, like love. We did it, Dad, I whispered. We brought them all down. The brass key sat heavy in my palm, a reminder of where this all began, of what justice costs, of what love can accomplish. It was time to close the hidden door, but its secrets had already done their work. The moving truck pulled away, leaving me alone in the driveway. Inside, the house echoed with emptiness, all of Rosalind's staged furniture gone, waiting for me to make it home again. My phone buzzed, a news alert. Hospital board members indicted in embezzlement scheme. Another text followed from Lucas. Rosalind's plea deal fell through. DA's pushing for maximum sentence. Good, I typed back. Any word on Marcus's death? Security footage shows Rosalind's lawyer entering his house that night. Investigation ongoing. I walked through the rooms, touching familiar walls. In the kitchen, Dad's old coffee mug still sat in the cupboard. In his study, the hidden panel was sealed. Its work done. The doorbell rang. Dylan stood outside, hands in his pockets. Can we talk? I left the security chain on. About what? I'm selling my shares in the hospital. donating the money to patient advocacy groups. He swallowed hard. It won't bring him back, but... No, I said, it won't. There's something else. A safety deposit box in Mum's name. I found the key when they cleaned out her office. He held out a small envelope. I think you should have what's inside. I took it without thanks. He turned to leave, then stopped. You know what the worst part is? Dad, Marvin, he tried to help me get clean last year, paid for rehab, said I could be better than what Mum wanted for me. His voice cracked, and I repaid him by watching him die. Goodbye, Dylan. Inside, I opened the envelope. A key and an address. First National Bank. Stacy drove me there. The box contained stacks of cash, offshore account numbers, and a USB drive labelled Insurance. What's on it? Stacy asked. Everything. I plugged it into my laptop. Every conversation, every transaction, every player in their scheme, Mum's ultimate backup plan. Why would she keep evidence against herself? Leverage, in case anyone tried to betray her. I smiled grimly. Now it's evidence for the prosecution? My phone rang. Edith. The hospital board wants to make amends, she said. They're establishing a patient safety foundation in your father's name. Tell them to focus on medication oversight. Make sure this never happens again. That evening, I sat in Dad's study, surrounded by boxes of his books. A notebook fell open, his handwriting jumping out. The greatest revenge isn't destruction. It's building something better from the ashes. The hidden panel caught my eye. One last time I opened it. The room was empty now, its secrets exposed. But on the back wall, Dad had written something I hadn't noticed before. For Amara. Remember that justice without mercy makes us like those we fight against. Your strength is in your compassion, not your anger. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Visiting hours are Tuesday and Thursday. Dylan. I thought about Rosalind sitting in her cell, about Dylan trying to make amends, about Dad's words on the wall. I dialed Edith. The foundation, I said. I want to run it. Make sure it actually helps people. Are you sure? After everything? Dad always said the best way to fight darkness was to create light. I could hear her smile. He'd be proud of you. Later, I stood in the garden where Dad used to read. The roses he planted were blooming, life continuing despite everything. Stacy joined me, holding 2 glasses of wine. To justice, she said, to building something better. My phone chimed. A message from Lucas. DA approved your request to speak at the sentencing. I looked at the house. My house now. At the study window where Dad used to wave. At the garden he loved. You know what Dad would say right now? I asked Stacy. What? The best revenge is living well. I smiled. And making sure others get to live well too. I pulled out the brass key one last time. The key that started everything. Tomorrow I'd seal the panel forever. Its work was done. But tonight I'd sit in Dad's garden, drink wine with my best friend, and plan a foundation that would save lives. Because that's what Dad would have wanted. Not just revenge, but redemption. Not just justice, but healing. I looked up at the stars, the same ones Dad and I used to watch together. We did it, Dad, I whispered. And now we'll do even more. The roses nodded in the evening breeze, their perfume sweet with promise. Sometimes the best endings aren't endings at all, but new beginnings. I was ready for mine.
I never meant to become my family's secret ATM, but that's exactly what happened, and now I'm sitting here staring at a foreclosure notice from 5 years ago, wondering if I've been the biggest fool alive. My name is Amber, and until today, I thought I was just being a good daughter. The responsible one, the frugal one, the boring one, according to my sister Jayla, who's currently holding court at her marble-countered kitchen island, waving her mimosa while describing her upcoming influencer trip to Bali. You should really come with us this time, Amber, Jayla says, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her glass. I mean, when was the last time you took a real vacation? I take a sip of orange juice, plain because someone needs to drive Mom and Dad home and force a smile. I'm good. Got some work projects coming up. Always working, Mom sighs, adjusting her new designer sunglasses. Honey, You're going to wake up one day and realize life passed you by. If they only knew. Every month for the past 5 years, I've been quietly transferring $2,400 to keep their house from being taken away. That's nearly $150,000 of my boring life choices. Speaking of passing by, Tanner chimes in, his arm draped around his girlfriend Julia. We're thinking about joining that Greece trip next month. The one you bailed on? Someone has to stay behind and clip coupons. Jayla snickers. Amber would probably rather buy bulk toilet paper than swim in Santorini. Everyone laughs. Even Dad, who should know better, joins in while helping himself to more of the expensive brunch spread that I'm sure Jayla charged to her already maxed out credit card. I just prefer being practical, I say, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. Speaking of which, Dad, did you need me to stop by later? You mentioned something about the house? He waves dismissively. No, all sorted. Just a minor repair thing. I notice Mom shooting him a quick look. After 5 years of watching their subtle signals, I've become fluent in their silent language of financial desperation. You sure? I don't mind. Oh, look at these photos from the spa day, Mom interrupts, pulling out her phone. Jayla treated me last weekend. Wasn't that sweet of her? Sweet. Right. The spa day that probably cost what I put into their mortgage account last week. The brunch drags on, a parade of humble brags and pointed jabs at my lifestyle. I sit through it all, mentally calculating how many overtime hours I've worked to keep their lights on while they plan their next luxury purchase. Later that evening, I drive them home. Mom's tipsy, going on about Jayla's natural gift for living life to the fullest. Dad's unusually quiet. I'll help you get her inside, I offer, pulling into their driveway. No need, Dad says quickly. You've done enough today. He has no idea how true that statement is. I should have left then. Should have driven straight home to my modest apartment with its sensible furniture and carefully budgeted life. Instead, I remember Dad mentioned needing his old drill, and I know exactly where it is, in his desk drawer in the garage. The garage is dim and cluttered when I enter. Dad's desk sits in the corner, a relic from his contractor days before everything fell apart. I pull open the drawer, and there it is, not the drill, but a stack of papers that makes my blood run cold. Foreclosure notices, bank warnings, final demands, all dated months before I started helping them. They knew. They'd known exactly how bad things were when they first started dropping hints about temporary financial help. My hands shake as I flip through the papers. They'd let me believe I was preventing a crisis, when in reality, I was cleaning up a mess they'd hidden from me. All while they watched me sacrifice, save, and strain, and mocked me for it. My phone buzzes. A text from Jayla. Thanks for coming to brunch, sis. BTW, Mom's treating us to a shopping spree tomorrow with her surprise bonus. Sure you don't want to join? Maybe we can find you something that isn't from the clearance rack. I stare at the message, then back at the papers in my hand. Mom's surprise bonus. My mortgage payment. Their jokes. My sacrifices. Something shifts inside me, like a gear finally clicking into place. I carefully return the papers to the drawer, close it softly, and walk out of the garage. For 5 years, I've been the family joke while being their financial savior. But as I drive home in my 6-year-old Honda, the one Tanner loves to call my starter car, I realize I'm not laughing anymore. And soon, neither will they. The bank statements spread across my dining room table tell a story, one that makes me sick to my stomach. 5 years of transactions, each one a reminder of how deeply I'd been played. Holy shit, Violet says, adjusting her glasses as she examines the papers. My best friend since law school has seen her share of financial disasters, but even she looks stunned. Amber, this is methodical exploitation. I point to a series of transfers. Look at these dates. Every time I increased the payment amount, they made a major purchase within weeks. New car for Tanner. Jayla's emergency spa weekend. Mom's kitchen renovation. They were counting on your payments, Violet says, her lawyer voice creeping in. Using them as guaranteed income while maintaining their lifestyle. Have you calculated the total? $144 to $800, I reply, the number burned into my brain, not counting the extra emergency amounts they'd ask for occasionally. My phone buzzes. Another text from Jayla. OMG sis, just landed my biggest influencer deal yet. Taking Mom to Aspen next month with her bonus. Don't worry, we'll send pics. I show Violet the message. Her expression darkens. Your mom's bonus is your money, isn't it? Has to be. She hasn't worked in 3 years. I sink into a chair. I feel so stupid. No, Violet says firmly. They're the stupid ones. They've left a paper trail a mile wide. What are you going to do? Before I can answer, my phone rings. It's Dad. Hey, sweetie, he says, his voice carrying that familiar note of forced casualness. Quick question. Remember that little extra help you've been giving us? Any chance we could bump it up a bit? Property taxes are due, and with Tanner's new business venture. My throat tightens. What business venture? Oh, he's got a great opportunity. Something with cryptocurrency. Just needs some startup capital. I think about the foreclosure notices, about Jayla's texts, about 5 years of jokes at my expense. Actually, Dad, I wanted to talk about the mortgage payments. Silence on the line. Then, now's not a good time, honey. Can we discuss this later? Your mother's calling me. The line goes dead. Coward, Violet mutters. I pull up my banking app and start doing calculations. I could have bought my own house by now. Instead, I've been paying for theirs while they treated you like their personal piggy bank. Violet finishes. She pulls out her laptop. Let's document everything. Bank statements, text messages, emails, anything showing the pattern. We spend hours building the file. Every transaction tells another part of the story. My deposit dates matching their extravagant purchases, their carefully timed emergency requests coinciding with vacations and shopping sprees. My phone keeps lighting up with family messages. Mom, darling, have you seen Jayla's amazing news? She's doing so well. Wish you'd let yourself enjoy life a little more like her. Tanner. Hey sis, got a fantastic investment opportunity. Guaranteed returns. Need about $20,000 to get in on the ground floor. Let me know. Julia, Tanner's girlfriend. Girl, you should really join us for dinner soon. Tanner says you're amazing with financial advice. I silence the phone and look at Violet. They're never going to admit what they did, are they? People like this rarely do, she says, closing her laptop. But you have options. We can start with a formal demand letter. No, I interrupt, an idea forming. I want something more personal. What are you thinking? I pull up the family group chat where they're all gushing about Jayla's influencer deal and Mom's upcoming Aspen trip. They love an audience, I say, typing out a response. So I'll give them one. I'm going to suggest a family dinner to celebrate all our successes. Violet raises an eyebrow. You're going to confront them? Better. I hit send on my message. Let's do dinner at the house next Saturday, my treat. I have some exciting news to share. The responses flood in immediately. Mom, finally, are you seeing someone? Jayla, OMG, did you actually buy something fun? Tanner, free dinner? I'm in. They think I'm going to announce some life change they can mock, I explained to Violet. Instead, I'm going to show them exactly who's been keeping their perfect little world afloat. And then I look at the stack of evidence we've compiled, and then I'm going to let it sink. Violet grabs her purse, heading for the door. She pauses, turning back. Just be prepared. When people like this get exposed, they don't get sorry. They get mean. I nod, already knowing what's coming. But for the first time in 5 years, I'm not afraid of their reaction. I'm counting on it. The week before the dinner, I decide to dig deeper into the house records. What I find makes my previous discoveries look like pocket change. You've got to be kidding me, I mutter, staring at the county records website. 3 equity loans taken out on the house since I started paying the mortgage, all under Tanner's name. My brother, the eternal entrepreneur, had been using the house as his personal credit line while I kept the lights on. My phone rings, Mom calling. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Honey, about Saturday's dinner, she starts, her voice syrupy sweet. I was thinking maybe we should do it at that new bistro downtown instead. The house is a bit, well, you know how your father gets about cleaning. No, Mom, it needs to be at the house. I keep my voice steady. Trust me. Well, if you insist. Though I don't know why you're being so mysterious about this announcement. You're not pregnant, are you? Because honestly, darling, in your situation, my situation, you know what I mean. Single, focused on work. We worry about you, sweetie. You work so hard, but what's it all for if you're not living? The irony almost makes me laugh. Almost. I'll see you Saturday, Mom. I hang up and pull up Instagram, where Jayla's latest post shows her lounging by a hotel pool. Sometimes you just need a mental health day. Self-care Saltsark blessed. The timestamp? Yesterday, when I was covering their property tax payment. A memory hits me. 3 years ago, right after Dad's contracting business failed. I just gotten a promotion and mentioned maybe buying a condo. Oh, honey, Mom had said, but who would help us with the house? We're not getting any younger, and you know how your father's pride works. He'd never accept help from strangers, but he'd accept it from me, as long as it was secret, as long as they could pretend. My doorbell rings. It's Tanner, unannounced as usual. Sis! He hugs me before I can stop him. Was in the neighborhood, thought I'd drop by. Really? This far from your usual spots? He laughs, making himself at home on my couch. Can't a brother visit? Actually, about that investment opportunity. The crypto thing? Better. NFTs. Ground floor opportunity. Just need some startup capital. He pulls out his phone. Look at these projections. How much? Just $25K. I know it sounds like a lot, but like the equity loans? The words slip out before I can stop them. He freezes. What? Nothing. I force a smile. Tell me more about these NFTs. He launches into his pitch, but his eyes keep darting around, nervous. He knows I know something. My phone pings with a notification. Jayla's posted again. Shopping therapy with my amazing mom. Blessed are our mother-daughter. Attached is a photo of them at some luxury boutique, Mom modeling an expensive-looking dress. Hey, Tanner says, noticing my expression. You okay? You seem different lately. Do I? Maybe I'm just tired of working so hard. He shifts uncomfortably. Yeah, you do work a lot. We worry, you know. All that stress isn't good for you. Funny how no one worried about my stress when I catch myself. Never mind. About that investment. Yeah? I'll think about it. His face lights up. Really? Because I already told some people you were in. I said I'll think about it. My tone makes him stand up. Right, well, let me know before Saturday. Speaking of which, what's this big announcement? Mom thinks you're either pregnant or joined a cult. I walk him to the door. You'll find out Saturday. After he leaves, I check my bank account. Another automatic transfer to their mortgage is pending. My finger hovers over the cancel button. Not yet. My phone buzzes again. A text from Julia. Hey, future sis. Tanner mentioned you might be helping with his new business venture. You're such an amazing sister. Can't wait for Saturday. I think about all the times I could have said no. All the times I almost did. The day I got approved for my own mortgage but canceled it because Mom called crying about their heating bill. The vacation I canceled when Tanner needed emergency car repairs. The savings account I drained when Dad's business failed. Each time, I convinced myself it was temporary. Each time, I told myself that's what family does. But family doesn't do this. I open my laptop and start preparing the files I'll need for Saturday. Bank statements, loan documents, property records, every receipt, every transfer, every lie. They wanted an announcement? They'll get one. And this time, I won't be the only one losing sleep over money. Amber? I look up from my coffee, and for a moment, I forget about Saturday's dinner, about bank statements, about everything. Because standing in front of me is Deacon, and he looks exactly the same as he did in college. I thought that was you, he says, smiling that crooked smile I used to dream about. Mind if I join you? I gesture to the empty chair at my cafe table. Still taking your coffee black? Some things never change. He sits down, setting his laptop bag aside. Though some things do. Heard you're some hotshot senior auditor now. And you're still stalking my LinkedIn? He laughs. Guilty. We're actually working in the same building. I saw you in the lobby last week, but you seemed preoccupied. Probably the day I found the foreclosure notices. Yeah, just family stuff. Ah. His expression shifts. The famous Blake family drama, still playing ATM for them? I nearly choke on my coffee. How did you remember that night in senior year when you got that call from your mom about their heating bill? You canceled our weekend trip to cover it. He stirs his coffee. Some patterns are hard to break. You knew back then? I knew you deserved better than being their safety net. Still do. Something about his directness, his memory of that moment, breaks something loose inside me. Before I can stop myself, I'm telling him everything. The mortgage payments, the hidden foreclosure notices, the planned confrontation. Jesus, Amber. His knuckles are white around his coffee cup. That's not family, that's financial abuse. I know. I can't believe I let it go on so long. Because you're a good person. They weaponize that. He leans forward. So what's the plan? Besides this dinner showdown? I haven't thought past Saturday, honestly. Stop the payments, he says immediately. Cold turkey. Let them figure it out. But what? They sink? That's on them, not you. My phone buzzes. Tanner again. Sis, about that investment. Got some people really interested. Need an answer ASAP. Deacon reads the message over my shoulder and scoffs. Let me guess. Crypto or NFTs? Both, apparently. Classic. You know what's worse than enabling them? Enabling them while they mock you for being responsible? He's right. I know he's right, but they're still my family. Are they? He catches my eye. Because from where I'm sitting, they're just people who share your DNA and drain your bank account. My phone buzzes again. Mom this time. Darling, need to finalize numbers for Saturday. Jayla's bringing her new photographer friend to document your announcement. So exciting. They think I'm announcing something life-changing, I explain to Deacon. They have no idea. Oh, it'll be life-changing all right. He grins. Just not in the way they expect. For the first time in weeks, I laugh. Really laugh. God, I've missed you. Missed you too. He glances at his watch. I should head back to work. But listen. He pulls out a business card, writes something on the back. This is my personal number. If you need backup on Saturday or just want to talk, call me. I take the card, our fingers brushing. Thanks, Deacon. And Amber? He stands, gathering his things. Whatever happens Saturday, remember? You're not the bad guy here. They are. After he leaves, I sit there, turning his card over in my hands. My phone buzzes one more time. Tanner, hey, since you're treating Saturday, mind if I bring a few potential investors? Great networking opportunity. Also, can you make it that pasta thing you do? Julia loves it. P.S. Still need that answer about the investment. TikTok. I stare at the message, feeling something shift inside me. The same brother who took out secret equity loans on the house now wants to bring investors to dinner. The same brother who mocks my boring job wants my money for his schemes. I pick up my phone and type, "Sure, bring whoever you want. The more witnesses, the better." Then I pull out my laptop and open the folder labeled Saturday. Time to add a few more receipts to the pile. Because Deacon's right. I'm not the bad guy here. I'm just the one who's finally done playing nice. My finger hovers over the mortgage payment account. One click, and I could stop it all now. Not yet. Let them have their last supper. Let them bring their photographers and investors and expectations. Let them think they still have me fooled. Saturday can't come soon enough. Everything's in here, Violet says, handing me a sleek black folder. Bank statements, property records, equity loan documents, text message screenshots, all chronological, all annotated. Even included a timeline of their purchases matched against your transfers. We're in her office, hours before the dinner. The folder feels heavy in my hands, weighted with 5 years of receipts and resentment. I still can't believe Tanner took out those equity loans, I say, flipping through the pages. 3 of them, Violet corrects. And guess what else I found? He's been subletting the pool house on Airbnb, pocketing the money while you pay the mortgage. My phone chimes. Mom, honey, we invited the Petersons too. Hope that's okay. They're dying to hear your news. The Petersons, Violet asks, they're country club friends? Mom's trying to turn this into a social event. I scroll through more messages. She's invited half the neighborhood. Perfect. Violet smirks. Bigger audience. My phone rings. It's Deacon. Just checking in, he says when I answer. Need any backup tonight? I think I've got it covered, but thanks. Call me after? I want to hear everything. After hanging up, I catch Violet's raised eyebrow. What? Nothing. Just nice to see you reconnecting with someone who actually cares about you. I check my watch. 2 hours until dinner. I should go get ready. Wait. Violet pulls something from her desk. Wear this. It's a crisp white blazer, elegant but powerful. Your court blazer? You're presenting evidence, aren't you? Might as well look the part. At home, I lay everything out. Violet's blazer, the black folder, my laptop with all the digital copies, a small voice recorder, Violet's suggestion, just in case. My phone keeps buzzing. Jayla. OMG, sis. My photographer friend is so excited. Should we do before and after shots of your announcement? Julia. Can't wait to hear your news. Tanner says the investors are super interested in meeting you. Mom. Darling, we're setting up the good china, and I got champagne for after your announcement. I take a deep breath and start getting ready. Hair smooth and professional. Minimal makeup. Violet's blazer fits perfectly. The folder goes into my laptop bag, along with a USB drive containing 5 years of digital records. I check everything 3 times. One last text comes through. From Dad. Your mother's very excited about tonight. Whatever you're planning, just be gentle with her. My hands shake as I read it. Does he know? Has he figured it out? Too late now. I grab my keys and head out. The drive to my parents' house feels surreal, like I'm watching someone else steer the car. Their driveway is already full of expensive vehicles. Looks like Mom really did invite everyone. Through the front window, I can see people milling around. Jayla's photographer friend is setting up lights. Tanner's talking animatedly to a group of men in business casual. Must be his investors. My phone buzzes one last time. It's Deacon. Remember, you're not the bad guy. Give them hell. I touch the folder in my bag, straighten Violet's blazer, and walk to the door. Before I can knock, it swings open. There's my baby! Mom pulls me into a perfumed hug. Everyone's been asking about you. Come in. Come in. The house is packed. I recognize the Petersons, some neighbors, faces from Mom's social circle. Jayla's holding court by the fireplace, posing for her photographer. Tanner immediately waves me over to his group. Sis, perfect timing. These gentlemen were just asking about investment opportunities. Later, I cut him off. Let's eat first. Mom claps her hands. Yes, everyone to the dining room. Amber, darling, we put you at the head of the table. Since it's your special night, I follow the crowd into the dining room. The table is set with the good china, crystal glasses sparkling. Name cards mark each place. Fresh flowers everywhere. All paid for with my last mortgage payment, no doubt. Speech, someone calls out as we settle in. Tell us the big news. Yes, honey, Mom beams. Don't keep us in suspense. I look around the table. At Mom's expectant smile. At Dad's nervous eyes. At Jayla's camera-ready pose. At Tanner whispering to his investors. My hand touches my laptop bag. Actually, I say, standing slowly, I do have something to share with everyone. The room quiets. Phones come out to record. The photographer raises her camera. I unzip my bag and pull out the black folder. It's about the house, I continue, watching their faces, and some very interesting financial records I've found. Mom's smile flickers. Dad goes pale. Tanner stops mid-whisper. Time to burn it all down. Before I begin, I say, opening the folder, I want to thank everyone for coming, especially the Petersons. You've known our family for what, 20 years now? Mrs. Peterson nods, beaming. We wouldn't miss your big announcement for the world, dear. Perfect. Then you'll appreciate this story. I pull out the first document. It starts 5 years ago with this foreclosure notice. The room goes silent. Dad's hand tightens around his wine glass. Amber, Mom laughs nervously. Nobody wants to hear about boring paperwork. Tell them your news. This is my news. I place the notice on the table. See, 5 years ago, I started paying the mortgage on this house. Every month, like clockwork. $400. Jayla's photographer keeps snapping photos. I can see the exact moment realization hits my sister's face. But here's where it gets interesting, I continue, pulling out more papers. While I was keeping this roof over our heads, some fascinating purchases were being made. I start laying out bank statements, matching them with social media posts I'd printed. Here's my March payment, and here's Jayla's Aspen trip that same week. April payment, Mom's kitchen renovation, May payment, Tanner's new car. Amber, stop this right now, Mom hisses, but I'm not done. Oh, and these are special. I pull out the equity loan documents. 3 separate loans taken out against the house. The same house I've been paying for. Want to explain these, Tanner? My brother stands abruptly. This is ridiculous. We're here for a celebration. We are celebrating, I cut him off. We're celebrating the end of this arrangement. One of Tanner's investors clears his throat. Perhaps we should step out. No, please stay, I say. You should know who you're potentially investing with. Someone who takes out secret loans on property they don't pay for, then tries to scam his sister for crypto money. That's enough. Dad slams his hand on the table. Glasses rattle. You're right. It is enough. I pull out my phone, opening my banking app, which is why I just canceled the automatic mortgage payment. For the first time in 5 years, this house is your problem again. Mom starts to cry, her practiced theatrical sobs. How could you do this to us? To your family? Family? I laugh. Was it family when you mocked my boring lifestyle while spending my money? Was it family when you hid the foreclosure notice and manipulated me into paying your debts? Jayla stands up, wobbling slightly from wine. You're just jealous because I actually made something of myself. You made Instagram posts with my mortgage payments. My voice rises. Every time I transferred money to save this house, you were at a spa or on vacation or buying designer clothes. The photographer's camera keeps clicking. Good. Let her document this. Mrs. Peterson, Mom turns desperately to her friend. You see how she's treating us? After all we've done, all you've done? I pull out one final document. Here's the total, $144,800. That's what I've paid while you lived your Instagram perfect lives, while you called me boring, frugal, a workaholic. The room erupts in whispers. Tanner's investors are already heading for the door. The Petersons exchange horrified glances. And you know what the worst part is? I look directly at my parents. You knew. You knew exactly what you were doing. Every time you asked for money, every time you watched me cancel my own plans to cover your bills, every time you laughed at my cheap lifestyle, you knew. Julia, Tanner's girlfriend, suddenly stands. I think I should go. Stay, I tell her. You should see who you're really dating. A man who sublets the pool house on Airbnb while his sister pays the mortgage. More guests start to leave. Mom's mascara is running. Dad won't meet my eyes. Amber, Jayla tries one last time. You're making a scene. No, I'm making things clear. I close my folder. The payments stop now. The lies stop now. The manipulation stops now. I gather my things, feeling lighter than I have in years. Oh, and Mom, that champagne you bought for my announcement, put it on my tab. It'll be the last one. I walk toward the door, then turn back one final time. The table is a tableau of shocked faces, spilled wine, and scattered evidence of their betrayal. You know what's funny? All these years you thought I was boring because I was careful with money, because I worked hard and lived within my means. But the real joke? I could have had everything you pretended to have. I just chose to save your house instead. I straighten Violet's blazer. Dinner's over. Good luck with the mortgage. The photographer catches one last shot as I leave, head high, walking away from the ruins of their carefully constructed lies. Behind me, I hear Mom wail, "What will people think?" For the first time in 5 years, that's not my problem anymore. The aftermath hits in waves. First come the texts, a tsunami of family meltdown. Mom, how could you humiliate us like this? After everything we've done for you. Jayla, hope you're happy. My photographer posted everything. My sponsors are dropping me. Tanner, you ruined my investment deals. This isn't over. Dad, we need to talk, please. I block their numbers one by one. Deacon shows up at my apartment an hour after the dinner, holding takeout and wearing a concerned expression. Violet called me, said you might need a friend tonight. Come in, I say, realizing I haven't eaten anything since morning. It's done. How bad? Nuclear. I take the food container he offers. Mom cried. Dad raged. Jayla's sponsors are apparently reviewing their contracts. Tanner's crypto investors fled. Good. He sits beside me on the couch. They deserved worse. My phone keeps lighting up with notifications. Emails now, since they can't text. Mom, your father's blood pressure is through the roof. If anything happens to him, it's on your conscience. Jayla, my social media manager quit. Thanks for destroying my brand, sis. Julia, how could you do this to Tanner? He trusted you. They're still trying to make me the villain, I tell Deacon, showing him the emails. Block those too, he says. They had 5 years of chances to do the right thing. A knock at the door makes us both jump. It's Violet, looking fierce in her court suit. Came straight from work, she says, striding in. The photographer posted the whole thing online. It's spreading fast in your parents' social circle. How bad? She pulls out her phone, showing me a local community Facebook group. There are already dozens of comments. Can't believe the Blakes did this to their own daughter. No wonder they always had money for the country club. Those poor investors Tanner almost scammed. Your mom's bridge club is particularly vocal, Violet says, almost gleefully. Apparently, she bragged last week about her upcoming Aspen trip. They're not happy learning where that money came from. My laptop pings an email from work. My hands shake as I open it. What is it? Deacon asks. Tanner? I read aloud. He's telling HR I hacked the family finances, trying to get me in trouble at work. Forward that to me, Violet says immediately. I'll handle it. We have documentation proving every payment was legitimate. Another knock. This time it's Dad, looking older than I've ever seen him. Amber, please, he starts, but Deacon steps between us. She's not available, he says firmly. I'm her father. No, I say, finding my voice. You're my former landlord, and I've moved out. Dad's face crumples. The bank called, without your payment. Not my problem anymore. After he leaves, I sink onto the couch between Deacon and Violet. I need to get out of here for a while. Clear my head. Use my beach house, Violet offers. Take a week. Let the dust settle. I'll drive you, Deacon adds quickly. My phone buzzes one last time. An Instagram notification. Jayla's photographer friend has posted the dinner photos with a lengthy caption. Tonight, I witnessed a powerful moment of family truth. A story about financial abuse, gaslighting, and one woman's courage to expose it all. To the sister who funded their lifestyle while they mocked her choices, you're my hero. Sharp family drama, justice. The receipts never lie. The post is going viral. Pack a bag, Deacon says, reading over my shoulder. You need space from this circus. While I'm throwing clothes into a suitcase, Violet handles the logistics of my temporary escape. She calls my boss, explaining the situation, sets up mail forwarding, arranges for my apartment to be watched. One last thing, she says, pulling out her laptop. Want to see the house listing? What house listing? Your parents. They posted it an hour ago. Urgent sale, immediate possession, possible. I look at the familiar facade, the manicured lawn I helped pay for, the pool house Tanner secretly rented out. You know what's weird? I zip up my suitcase. I don't feel guilty anymore. Deacon takes my bag. That's because you're free. As we head to his car, more emails flood in. Flying monkeys deployed by my family. How could you do this to your mother? Family matters should stay private. You've destroyed them. But for the first time in 5 years, their words have no power over me. Ready? Deacon asks, holding the car door. I look back at my apartment, then at my phone showing the endless stream of family fallout. Yeah, I say, deleting the emails without reading them. I'm ready to live my own life. The car pulls away, and I don't look back. Let them deal with their mortgage, their reputation, their consequences. I've paid enough. The beach house becomes my sanctuary, but karma doesn't take vacations. Your story's trending, Violet tells me over FaceTime. Someone posted it on Reddit. The comments are overwhelming. I'm sitting on the deck, watching waves crash while Deacon makes coffee inside. How bad is it? Not bad for you. People are calling you a hero. Your family, though. She winces. The internet is not kind to financial abusers. My laptop chimes with a new email from Jayla's biggest sponsor. Dear Ms. Blake, we're reaching out regarding your sister's influencer contract. Given recent events and evidence of financial misrepresentation, we're terminating our partnership effective immediately. That's the third one today, I tell Violet. Apparently, authenticity matters in influencer marketing. Speaking of authenticity, she says, have you seen the house listing updates? I pull up the real estate site. The price has dropped twice already. The description now reads, motivated sellers. All reasonable offers considered. They're desperate, Violet explains. The bank's pushing for immediate payment after those equity loans were exposed. Deacon comes out with coffee, catching the end of our call. After Violet hangs up, he sits beside me. Any regrets? He asks. Only that I didn't do it sooner. My phone rings. An unknown number. Usually I'd ignore it, but something makes me answer. Is this Amber Blake? A woman's professional voice. I'm a producer with National Public Radio. We're doing a story on hidden financial abuse in families, and your story has caught our attention. I look at Deacon, who nods encouragingly. Actually, I tell the producer, I think this is a story that needs to be told. The interview airs the following week. I tell everything. The manipulation, the mockery, the secret payments. The producer asks hard questions about family loyalty and financial boundaries. What would you tell others in your situation? She asks. Stop setting yourself on fire to keep toxic people warm. The response is immediate. My inbox fills with messages from others sharing similar stories. Daughters, sons, siblings, all trapped in cycles of financial abuse masked as family duty. Then comes the email from Julia. I left Tanner. After seeing those documents, how could I stay? He tried to convince me you were lying, but the proof was right there. Thank you for opening my eyes. Deacon reads it over my shoulder. One life saved already. Maybe more, I say, showing him another message, this one from Mrs. Peterson. Dear Amber, I've known your parents for 20 years. Play bridge with your mother every Thursday. After your revelation, I started questioning things. How many others had they manipulated? How many loans had they taken? I've spoken with the club board. Your mother's treasurer position has been reviewed. The house sells well below market value. I hear about it from the real estate agent herself, who reaches out specifically to tell me, your brother tried to block the sale, claiming partial ownership through those equity loans. The bank shut that down fast. Thought you should know, karma's real. Deacon brings me more coffee, then hesitates. Your dad called my office today. My stomach tightens. What did he want? To know if you'd reconsider. Said they've learned their lesson. He sits next to me. I told him lessons don't count if you're only sorry because you got caught. I check my email one last time before bed. There's a message from a journalist. Your story has sparked an important conversation about financial abuse in families. Would you be interested in contributing to a book about setting healthy monetary boundaries? I think about all the others out there, silently paying family bills while swallowing their pride. All the secret ATMs being drained by guilt and manipulation. Yes, I reply, I would. Deacon reads my response and smiles. From victim to advocate. Nice plot twist. Speaking of twists, I pull up my banking app. Look what I can afford now that I'm not paying someone else's mortgage. The down payment for my own house sits there, growing instead of shrinking. My money, my choice, my future. Ready to go house hunting? He asks. Actually, I close the laptop. I think I'll enjoy renting a little longer, build my savings, travel some, live the life they said I was wasting. My phone buzzes one last time. A text from Violet. Your mom's bridge club is using your story as a warning tale. Don't pull an Amber is apparently their new code for catching someone in a financial lie. Thought you'd appreciate the irony. I do appreciate it. Just like I appreciate the waves crashing outside, the coffee growing cold beside me, and the man who helped me find my voice sitting close enough to touch. You know what's funny, I tell him. I spent 5 years saving their home, but I ended up saving myself instead. He takes my hand, and I let him. Because that's the thing about breaking free. It makes room for something better to begin.